Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. A very warm welcome to this amazing event. We are about to begin the summit in a few minutes. Before this session starts officially, let me invite a special person to do a special session. Let me invite Mr. Bharat Aditya, co-founder, the Design Turf India, to talk about paid media, branding, and copywriting for founders. Mr. Bharat Aditya is a strategic business consultant with a knack of understanding ground realities as efficiently and effectively. He has helped several small businesses to make strategic business moves that resulted positively for businesses. His co-workers admire him for his strong people management and problem-solving skills, and they credit Bharat Aditya for improving their overall productivity and making their business lead to profitability. He heads the business at the Design Turf, a digital marketing agency based in India that is into SEO and SEM, social media strategy, LinkedIn marketing, branding, email marketing, copywriting, and web development. Over to you, Mr. Bharat, for your session.
Is it audible, ma'am?
Yes, it is audible, but you are not visible.
I think my mic is on the other screen, so I would want you to keep the screen which I'm visible on. There's some microphone
Great.
issue, so I'm just joining through another screen. So if you could share that
Yes,
video.
now we can. Yeah, now we can see you. I hope our audience also can see. Yes,
Perfect,
you can
perfect,
start.
perfect. I think amazing. Thank you for such wonderful introduction, ma'am. But we are all growing together. It's good to see, and it's great to see a lot of support coming from your end, unconditional support coming from the whole GCPIT team. Right? It's a wonderful feeling altogether. So I'm really honored to today to be sharing our company's profile and also to be honored to represent the company. Even though we have one of our founders over here, Sai Krishna, I would welcome him also. One of our team members are also joining slowly. Good to see that, and it's been a fantastic day. So hello everybody, Bharat Aditya here. And today I would be speaking about, it's a very short introduction that I would be giving. I am a Yuva Pratibha Puraskara awardee, and our organization have won 3 times Best Established Student Empowerment Platform of the Year award, and Alumni Hall of Fame, Alumni Wall of Fame, Most Promising Student of the Year. I think all has been through the branding strategy we have adopted. I myself have adopted. Our co-founders have adopted. Our organizational leaders have adopted. And I think profoundly we see GCPIT, CIM, SME also growing through brand strategy that has been exemplarily being done by Santosh sir and Aparna ma'am. It's humongous and it's fantastic. So I would take just a few seconds if I can share the slide of the work that we have done. So is it?
Yes, it is visible.
It's visible. Yes. So it's our subsidiary entity. Proto is a subsidiary entity registered back in 2019. And I would quickly go through the kind of work that we have done. I would not talk much about it, but I would really request the GCPIT team if we can have a one-on-one session, and we would be willing to share this presentation to them, and they can take a look into it. We are brand strategists. We ideate, we articulate, we understand, we test, and we execute how one organization or one brand can grow organically. And it is all done through a collective experience of people whom we have in our team for about more than 15 years, 10 years, 7 years, 5 years, 30 years of experience, people who have been there as sales specialists, brand specialists, and articulated marketing experts who have worked for global forums on the top of the top. I would show very quickly with some of our work, the kind of work that we have done. the kinds of brands that we have worked with, from logo design, from branding strategy to guidelines, even including, I think, annual reports of a company, the magazines of an organization, your business card that's on a highest networking marketing machine for you, your banners, your print media communication, your digital communication, and your art structures, every single thing of your presence and your PR strategy will be mobilized, monetized, and strategized by us. So we are a comprehensive brand management company. We give branding solutions. We are into social media marketing as well. We have a exemplary top performing performance marketing team with us who have been handling more than 65 lakh worth of uh, digital marketing budget coming our way. We have handled clients who have been more than 300 crore, 500 crore, 700 crore, 1000 crore organizations with us. I think that has given a lot of leverage for us to be in this space. This is also one of the branding work. I would not be taking much of your time so that I will be able to explain to what extent that work we have covered. This is our marketing work. A lot of people have been asking why the company name has been Design Turf. Turf is something, design is a land, turf is a land, right? Design Turf is a place where a lot of designing happens. We are very proud to call ourselves Design Turf as an agency. I think you can get to know the wide spectrum of design and the way we design, the approach that we handle to keep it designed, every single thing, designing a strategy, designing a logo, designing an emails conversation, designing a LinkedIn strategy, designing a Twitter strategy, whatever has to be strategized, we design it. That's the reason we have named. And I think our work is speaking by itself by what we have done in terms of design. And these are also the marketing works that we have done. We have been doing for fintech companies. We have been doing for agri-tech companies. We have been doing for, I think, universities and educations as well. Now we are getting into crypto and blockchain and NFT platforms as well. We are slightly moving our arena to even real estate sectors. So I'm just showing you a glimpse of what we are capable of, what we can do, what we have been doing over the period of time. And I think our team, this is a collective effort of the team that we have put all together. So I think you can see right from magazines, collectibles, even the board meeting presentation.
Bharat, you are on mute now. Please unmute yourself.
Is it audible, ma'am?
Yes. I think yeah.
Yeah,
you can continue.
Yes, these are the packaging designs that we have done. So when it comes to design strategy, it may be from social media strategy, it may be from complete digital marketing campaigns for an event, organization, individual, person, or for-profit, non-for-profit. We cover everything. So I would quickly wrap this up. This is the capabilities that we have. I would be more than interested to take a one-on-one, and I would be closing. And thank you so much for the GCPIT team once again for this massive event and such a lovely opportunity that you have given. Thank you so much, Aparna ma'am. More power to you and the whole GCPIT team. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Bharat Aditya from Design Turf India for that wonderful session on paid media branding and copywriting for founders. I think the work you are doing at this young age is amazing. Looking forward to working with you more in the future.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you so much. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whichever part of the world you are joining us from.
Please
GCPIT UK.
PPT. 1 minute, Aparna.
Yes, Bharat, yeah.
Can you just click on screen share and close it? There is a screen share button on the top. There is a red color button is there on the screen. Yes. Thank you so much.
Yes, I think it's done. Yes. So once again, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whichever part of the world you are joining us from. GCPIT UK, Global Council for the Promotion of International Trade, Global Founders Council for Sustainable Development, along with our impact investment partner, Tacit Growth Strategies LLC, is proud to welcome you all who are joining us from different parts of the world on this prestigious event, SDGs Global Founders Council Summit 2022. I'm Aparna G. Kumar, the Global Co-Chairperson of GCPIT and your host for this event. We are celebrating this summit for 3 days, and on behalf of GCPIT, let me express our sincere gratitude to all our chief guests, keynote speakers, and all the founders who are going to present their very powerful sessions on sustainable development. We are grateful to our impact investment partner, Tacit Growth Strategies LLC, for their unconditional support for this summit. We have people joining us on Zoom. We are live on LinkedIn for the first time. We would like to extend a very warm welcome to our LinkedIn family. We have 20,000 plus followers there. And we would also like to welcome our viewers on Twitter, Facebook, and also GCPIT Global YouTube channel. As you all know, Global Council for the Promotion of International Trade, or GCPIT, is one of the fastest growing organizations based out of India, South Africa, UK, US, and UAE, with board and council member representation across the world. Founded by the visionary leader, Mr. Santosh Ganesh, in the year 2020, GCPIT has been growing at an exponential rate with support from global leaders from across the globe. We started our global journey with our first virtual event, the Global Leadership Dialogue. And while the whole world was slowly getting into lockdown, we started connecting with leaders from across the globe. We started organizing premium events, as many of you may still remember, with the Global Women's Business Summit. We are so proud and happy that the leaders who came as speakers for that summit never left us. I can proudly say many of them are speaking in this event as well. We went on to connect with more leaders through our premium events like the Global Women's Business Summit 2020, Global Tech Summit, Global Innovation Incubation and Entrepreneurship Summit, Womenomics Global Mission, Global Women in Trade Summit, and Virtual Expo Entrepreneurship Development Program, through which we trained 8,000 plus college students. The Global Sustainable Development Summit 2021, we did this every weekend for 3 months, going through each SDG in detail, focusing on what businesses can do for advancing the sustainable development goals. Last year, we also awarded leaders from across the world who are doing a remarkable job in sustainability. The entire world has been talking about gender equality and about developing more women leaders for a long time. While we were connecting with all these remarkable leaders who came as speakers for our events, we found that there were exceptional women who are doing excellent work in different sectors. The 2021 UN theme for International Women's Day was Women in Leadership, Achieving an Equal Future in a COVID-19 World. And we decided to honor all these leaders who supported us pro bono during our events on International Women's Day. For this, we came up with the prestigious Women in Leadership Awards 2021. We awarded 108 global leaders on that day. We also started a Women in Leadership study to understand the problems they faced in their journey towards leadership and to bring these learnings to aspiring women leaders. And we started interviewing them and made them available to our global audience through GCPIT's YouTube channel. This year, we got 491 nominations on Women's Day, and out of them, we selected 150 outstanding women leaders and honored them with Women in Leadership Award 2022. At GCPIT, we are constantly on the lookout for new and innovative ways to assist businesses in expanding their global reach. We now stand proud with the launch of the Great Leaders Council and the 20 Global Alliances for the Advancement of SDGs, 3 global magazines, the Sustainomics monthly newsletter, and the Impact Proneurs web portal. Now we are on a mission to impact 100 million entrepreneurs and leaders by 2030. We won't be able to achieve this without the support of global leaders like you. Let us all work together towards building a new world, a sustainable world for the future generations. The realization that business leaders have a huge role to play in this is the reason for this summit. Let us be the change we wish to see in this world, as Mahatma Gandhi said. I'm sure if we all come together, we can make this happen. So let's together begin to celebrate change. Let's together begin to celebrate life. And now let's together begin to celebrate the 3-day SDGs Global Founders Council Summit 2022. We have a very special person with us now to begin the summit with her keynote address and tell us more about the summit. She has more than 20 years of professional experience in high-level leadership positions in strategy and finance. She was nominated by Forbes as one of the 100 most influential women and most influential Arab women in business in 2015 and honored as a member of the Johns Hopkins Society of Scholars in 2018. With a Harvard PhD in Environmental Engineering and Sustainable Development and engineering degree from Central Paris, she started her career at the World Bank in Washington and is now on a mission to empower 1 billion girls and women around the world to grow confident, resilient, tech-savvy, and financially free by using her BAL method so that every girl and every woman embrace her dream and assertively believe in it, act on it, and lead with it. Let me proudly welcome the founder and CEO, BAL Method Limited, President and CEO, Strategica, all the way from Morocco, Dr. Hind Bohia. Over to you, Dr. Hind, for your keynote address. Dr. Hind, I think you have to unmute yourself.
Thank you, my beautiful Aparna, for this amazing introduction and for having me. It's such an honor to be with you. This is such a beautiful initiative. You are embracing what it means to reach the Sustainable Development Goals. And I am so honored to be part of this. Today is an important day as we start this great summit of the founders and talking about the global sustainability and the importance of having every business embrace and integrate sustainability in the way they do business and the way they operate. May I share my screen, my slides? I have presentation, which I would like to use today.
Yes, I think you will have.
I have my screen and it's all coming. I will be talking today about how sustainability is now a must for, just 1 second. What happened? Just one. What happened? Just 1 second. I will be talking today how sustainability is a must for every business, and every business needs to integrate. Yes, this is the right one. And every business needs to integrate sustainability in their strategies, in their vision, and in the way they do it, any business. Towards the end, I'll be talking about women empowerment, because to me, women empowerment is the foundation of gender equality. And without gender equality, we cannot reach sustainable economies. Sustainable economies are the foundation for us to reach the Sustainable Development Goals. So sustainability is a must. It's not a choice anymore. It is a must today. We cannot talk about business development or business growth without looking at the impact, the real impact it has. And what do we mean with impact? We mean, what do they bring in terms of economic growth, economic stimulus, in terms of social development, and most importantly, the impact on the environment. Because sustainability, the meaning of sustainability is to be using the natural resources we have today as we want, but leaving it intact for the next generation. So these three components and these three pillars that makes the sustainability need to always be in harmony and integrated in every business strategy and in every vision for business. So there is a heavy responsibility for businesses. And you know why? Because businesses today have reached such a big level globally across the world that their GDP and their return is much, and the impact and the value they provide is much higher than the GDP of big countries. Their power lies first on the central role they play in offering 90% of the world's jobs, in addition to the 60% of the global GDP. 60% comes from businesses. But the good news is that 90% today of the CEOs are aware about the importance of integrating sustainability in their business. But why they're not doing more? Why they're not doing more while they know that the benefits are tremendous for their business? And let me just show you how, because when we talk business, we talk money. So actually, it's very good from a money perspective. One, money can be made. Because when businesses are completely aligned with the SDG, they can tap into the $12 trillion that have been to their reserves to give them to companies when they invest for them to invest in clean tech, in waste management, in urban agriculture, in many, many projects, creating portfolios of projects that align them with the Sustainable Development Goals, making them a pioneer, making them a driving force of changes around sustainability and facing climate change. Second, more money can be saved because by investing in energy and water efficiency, they actually save in money. So it's good for the business. And in addition to reducing their carbon footprint, and they can accumulate credit from reducing the carbon footprints. And third, more money from improving branding, because consumers, clients, they love to buy from businesses with a sustainability brand, businesses that are doing good and giving back and protecting the planet, protecting the environment, protecting the animals, protecting nature. This is good for the branding. So when it's good for the branding, it attracts more clients. It will bring more money to the business. So clearly, there is so much money to be made. And that's why it's not a choice anymore. It's a must, and it's urgent, because we need the mobilization of the 60% of the global GDP in the world. So what will be the right strategy to do that? Well, as we all know, there are a range of sustainable goals to choose from, and to integrate them in their strategy, depending on the industry, depending on the focus, and depending on the sector. I will I will talk about that in a bit. But what I wanted to say is that for businesses to feel that they are really doing something about sustainable developments, they need to evaluate that, as very nicely put it, Joseph Stiglitz, the Nobel Prize and former chief economist of the World Bank. What you measure affects what you do. If you don't measure the right thing, you don't do the right thing, which is really very, very important, because if businesses don't use indicators to measure what they do in terms of impact on the environment, on the social development, on the socioeconomic environments, they will not do anything. That's why it has to be integrated in the way they evaluate business and they use business. And so building partnership to share knowledge and expertise, to work together and to creating platforms such as these are so important. That's why I salute you, Aparna and Santosh. And I want to celebrate today the amazing work you are doing, because this is the celebration of the SDG Goal 70, which is creating partnerships, which is putting together all the thought leaders and the CEOs and leaders and founders from all around the world, so that we can raise our voice, and then we can raise our voice with real concrete strategies to help move forward and to contribute to reaching the 2030 SDGs, because we all need to lead the way towards a better future. Everyone, every person has a role to play, so that we can reach a better future, a better world, and a sustainable future. No one should be left behind for that. So the future of business is changing. Let's deep dive to understand why. Why is it urgent? Why is it's not even a choice anymore? One, because there is increased demand on food and consumption. So there is more pressure on all this natural production. There is more pressure on energy, more pressure on water. And today, corporates are larger than ever. Big companies have revenue exceeding the GDPs of some countries. I mean, could you imagine that? Huge companies around the world are today more powerful than just a country in terms of GDP. And responding to social and environmental consideration is good for business, as we have seen it. So businesses are getting empowered, are getting more money, more investment to be able to invest in skill sets, invest in human resources, contribute to innovation, integrate this understanding and the importance of sustainability in the everyday business. So they become a lead in the way for environmental and social issues. And for that, they need to integrate it in their strategy. They need to integrate it in their vision. And it is starting. And that's what is nice to see, is many companies are today leading the way and becoming some of the spokesperson for climate change, for improving the impact on the environment. But let me now go back and focus in the women empowerment, as I mentioned earlier, because what we see is that the SDG 5, which is gender equality, is actually across every single one. You know, I spent 20 years working on water, on environment, on energy, on smart cities, on sustainability, on every aspect, on poverty. As I was at the World Bank, I was with the Prime Minister. But what I realized is that, you know, the root and the foundation of all this is actually women and gender equality. When you have gender equality, you have it all. It's the start. It's crossing through every single sector. So so the basis of that is really women empowerment. When you empower women, when you prepare them to be confident, to be resilient, to be tech savvy, so you give them the skills. You give them the skills so that they can embrace the digital world. They can understand how to become financially free and get their self-worth. What do you do then? You help them to get the million of jobs that are created today in the digital sphere, for example. You help them to be fulfilled, to be thriving, to contribute when there is quotas that are set up by governments, quotas that are set up by local governments to encourage more women to go into the workforce. So you reach the gender equality because you prepare them. You have them ready to be there. You have covered the basis that was missing. And when you have gender equality, you reach the business sustainability because you have integrated in your portfolio of projects those different assets, the different aspects of integrating women into different places in the whole project cycle. And you will be advancing in your SDGs and your agendas. And these sustainable businesses, they create sustainable economies. They champion sustainability. They create inspiring and empowering leaders. And they prepare the next generation because at the end, isn't it sustainability about thinking about the next generation? It's consuming and producing, innovating, creating, but at the same time, leaving the planet, leaving nature, leaving the environment intact for the next generation. So isn't it beautiful how it's all comes down to empowering girls and women? It all comes down to ensuring that you invest in girls to go to STEM, to ensuring that you invest in women to be so confident that they can be the best leader, the best founder, the best entrepreneur, the best job creator. And this way you reach this sustainability in the business and the economies. So gender equality crosses all the SDG because we need to leave no one behind when we want to reach the SDGs. It is represented in every goal. And to step it up, we need public policies, the public actions programs to turn policies into concrete actions to tackle the gender equality. So what are we doing for women? What are we doing to help them? What are we doing to have them believe in themselves, believe in their possibilities? And again, I salute you and I celebrate Aparna, who is such a leader, who is with this platform, is showcasing many role models. And role models is what girls and women need so that they feel that, yes, they have a space, they have a place to play, they have a voice they can use to also contribute. You can use to also contribute to the sustainability and to creating a sustainable future. So what it does, I mean, you can see it here on this slide. It includes everything. It includes health, access to health. You need access to all the aspects of health. The new femtech, which is technology in improving the female health, women health, education, access to water, to energy, access to job, giving them equal distribution, equal protection, safe working conditions, creating a healthy ecosystem, creating that nurturing environment that makes it possible for them to thrive, possible for them to contribute, possible for them to innovate, for them to be part of great ideas, great steps to reach the Sustainable Development Goals. Equal access to justice, social and economic space. So we cover them all by talking about gender equality. And that is why it should become a fundamental right. Because when you look at the 5 pillars around the Sustainable Development Goals and the Agenda 2030, what did I say in the beginning? Business sustainability is for them to integrate the 3 aspects of economics. So it's prosperity, people, social aspects, the planet, the environment. And we add to that the 2 important foundations, which is peace and justice and partnerships, global partnership, global initiatives, global networks, such as this one. Yes, just wanted to go to the next slide. And so the word needs a holistic approach, and the word meaning and businesses need holistic approach, not thinking about only their return, thinking about how much money they make, but thinking about the footprints that they leave behind in terms of footprint around water, footprint around energy, and footprint around this. So together, let's empower women to grow confident. Let's empower girls. Let's go towards this amazing mission that I am leading, which is to help 1 billion girls and women to grow confident, resilient, tech savvy, and financially free, and create a sustainable future. Thank you so much for having me. And this summit is going to be amazing.
Thank you so much, Dr. Hind, for those powerful words and setting the tone of the summit. Looking forward to working with you in the Great Leaders Council to impact 100 million entrepreneurs and founders in the coming days. Thank you so much.
Me too. Thank you for having me.
Now it's time to listen to our chief guest. He is the former senior advisor of the London Stock Exchange Group, LSEG, the chairman of the World Business Angels Investment Forum, WBAF, president, Dualcom International Incorporated, and the star of this Turkish version of the television show Dragon's Den and Shark Tank. He is the only angel investor to be granted a personal audience with former US President Barack Obama at the Presidential Summit on Entrepreneurship in Washington, D.C. Appointed as the JCI ambassador following Ban Ki-moon, former Secretary General of the United Nations, he is the author of How I Became a Top TV Star and Celebrated Investor and co-author of Planet Entrepreneur. Profiled regularly by the leading international media such as CNN International, Bloomberg, BBC, etc., let me proudly invite our chief guest for day one of the SDGs Global Founders Council Summit, all the way from Turkey, Mr. Baybars Altuntaş. Over to you for your address.
Thank you very much, dear Aparna. All the way from my room to the Zoom room, to tell you the truth. Now, after Mr. COVID started traveling around the world, moving from one place to another place became so easy. Dear Aparna, thank you very much for organizing this particular event of co-founders and founders of global companies. I think it will be good to highlight some important points for entrepreneurs of the 21st century before moving to the sustainability, keeping the sustainability issue for entrepreneurs today. In 1950s, 60s, invention was something very important. Nobody was talking about innovation. Why? Because anything invented was something guaranteed to be accepted by the consumer or end user. Everybody needed something new. So when an inventor invented something, then it wasn't a problem to convert it to a business easily. But now this is not the case. Today, invention is not important. Almost everything invented for us. Today, innovation is important. Innovation that counts. Why? Because invention should be something very meaningful for the end user, for the customer. It should be compatible with their packets, and it should really contribute to increase the quality of people. So now everybody is not ready to accept to turn any invention to something useful for their life. Who is going to turn invention to innovation today? Entrepreneurs. So inventors didn't need entrepreneurs in the past, but today inventors need entrepreneurs to convert their inventions to a business. But entrepreneurs of today have some challenges. They are lacking finance. Competition is very high, plus Mr. COVID now. So when we bring all these things together, then we have to highlight the importance of smart finance for entrepreneurs. Entrepreneurs of today need more than money to create a success story. They need smart money, which means a combination of network, mentorship, and education. So when you bring money along with network, mentorship, and education, then entrepreneur is more close to success. Why entrepreneurs of today, as a matter of fact, they have, in parentheses, have many sources of finance available for them, which was not the case in the past, from ICO to IPO. Crowdfunding platforms, wealth management institutions, family offices, government grants, VCs, angel investors, banks, co-investment funds, ICO, IPO. So many sources of finance available for them. But one of them is different than others. And the one that I will now mention now will be more instrumental in the entrepreneurial life story, because to convert the businesses, to convert inventions to innovation and create success stories more. Angel investors. Why? Because angel investors are bringing smart finance on the table, know-how, network, and mentorship. But now, as an affiliated partner of the G20 Global Partnership for Financial Inclusion, we are advocating the importance of digital and business transformation as a fourth item to smart finance issue. After Mr. COVID, now smart finance is not enough either. We have to include also the digital transformation in the game. The challenging issue is business transformation and digital transformation. These are not cheap issues. Entrepreneurs today are lacking finance. While they are considering how to pay the electricity bills, the rent fees, etc., the next month, we are inviting them to invest in digital transformation. So I will be in Bali of Indonesia on 10th of May for the G20 meetings, and our report to G20 leaders includes an invitation to them, an invitation to consider including financial support in the recovery plans against COVID-19. Unfortunately, we couldn't witness a financial support in the recovery plans of almost any government in the world until now. If these entrepreneurs, small businesses, women entrepreneurs, startups, SMEs, if they are not supported now against COVID-19, if they are not financially vaccinated, their businesses are not financially vaccinated, then they won't be able to create a sustainable success story. Is it important? Very important. Because if they are not supported now, then they will not survive, which means they won't be able to create new jobs, more wealth, and social justice for economies. This will be a bigger problem for governments in the future. So we are inviting governments to create smart policies against COVID-19 economic environment for entrepreneurs, and we are inviting them to cooperate more with startup economy, with stakeholders of startup economies. Crowdfunding platforms, angel investors, incubation centers, acceleration centers, technoparks, innovation agencies, SME development agencies, all these institutes will be very instrumental to support entrepreneurs of today in their journey for digital transformation. Aparna, thank you very much for inviting me to this session and give me this opportunity to share the vision of G20 of WBIF for entrepreneurs. I hope all participants joining to this event will find a rewarding experience. And thank you very much, Dr. Hind, for your great remarks. By the way, I have joined the last 5 minutes of your speech, but promoting gender equality is one of the 4 missions of the WBIF, easing access to finance for entrepreneurs, promoting gender equality, increasing financial inclusion, and enhancing digital inclusion are 4 main pillars of the WBIF. Anyone who wants to join the WBIF's efforts can first visit the campus.wbiforum.org, which is the digital campus of WBIF. Let me show you the campus. This is the web address, and you can visit, for example, Startup Investment Promotion Agency, and visit the investor room, the mentorship room, all virtual. So I think it will be really good you to discover the opportunities offered here by WBIF for entrepreneurs. So thank you very much again, and I am leaving the floor back to Aparna.
Thank you so much, Mr. Vaibhas Altontash, for that inspiring session. And as you said, it has been easy to move from room to room, and that is the advantage we all can leverage as founders, right? It's a wonderful opportunity to learn from the best. And thank you for joining us today and for all the support you have been giving to GCPIT.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you.
With that, we come to the end of our opening session, and let us fasten our seatbelts as we get ready for the powerful sessions on sustainable development. Let's start our powerful session 1 with 4 speakers. We have 4 speakers in the session. To begin with, we have with us Mr. Dennis Okor. Mr. Dennis is a communications and policy practitioner with over 15 years of experience and expertise in government relations, public affairs, and ESG communications and sustainability. He's going to talk about fostering innovation cultures with sustainability mindset, highest ethical and governance standards, UN SDG 16. Over to you, Mr. Dennis, for your session.
Thank you very much. Good morning, good evening, and good afternoon, everyone who's joining this wonderful forum today. And thank you so much, Dr. Hind and Vaibhas, for the opening remarks, which have really put into context the wonderful forum that has been put together by the team from GCPIT under the leadership of Santosh. Greetings from Nairobi, Kenya. It's a wet afternoon, late afternoon, and I'm very excited to be here from Nairobi. I'll be speaking with you today, and I'll be guiding this conversation using a slide. So I'll be sharing a slide with you in a short while. But more importantly, I would like to just echo the sentiments of the earlier speakers in terms of the importance of sustainable development goals, which I cannot overemphasize, because this is a timely a forum that has come to bring us into this focus. And I will really encourage all of us that this should not be another forum that we are attending, but it's very important for us to take forward this as an opportunity to really go back to our communities, go back to our businesses, to really make this happen. Because if we're able to make this happen in our spheres of influence, we're able to create a world that we all desire. So it's very, very great to be here among founders, among industry leaders and experts to share my thoughts in this. And I'm sure that from today and even as the coming days, as we deliberate on these matters, that we are building collaborations and we are building on the Sustainable Development number 17 towards strong partnerships that can drive this forward. And as Dr. Hinda said, that all these SDGs, they're interconnected, they go together, and they are underpinned by creating an impact around the 5 pillars of SDGs. So it's very, very important to speak about this. So today I'll be focusing my talk on SDG number 16, and I'll be speaking about the subject of fostering innovation and cultures, with more importantly having that sustainability mindset and seeing how can founders be able to integrate this into their businesses so that they can be able now to have this as part and parcel of them. So it's very important to first understand that in the world that we live today, it's a VUCA world, meaning that it's a volatile world, it's uncertainty, there's complexity, there's ambiguity. And this has further been compounded with the other aspects like Mr. COVID, which Mr. Babers have just mentioned about. And there are other factors which are not maybe necessarily negative, but we need really to catch up with. And one of them is technology. Another one, which is very, very pertinent, is the issue of the radical changes that are happening in the climate. So those are things that we really need to really have understanding. And how are these affecting our cities? How is this affecting our communities? How is this affecting our businesses? And that question is very, very important. And that consciousness is what really will make this happen, because we need not to assume that in our world, life is going on as usual. We are living in a lot of uncertainty. So that understanding is what calls for having vision, having clarity that we are in this period and what can we be able to do in order to adopt some of the strategies, adopt a lifestyle, adopt a culture, and even methodologies that can bring agility. And this is this agility that will be able to help us to be able to innovate with a view of being adaptable to the changing environment in this volatility and uncertainty. So in this environment, in as much as it's dire, it is not static. It also moves us with we go as civilization is changing, it is also changing. So that's why having that vision, understanding, and clarity so that we know what are the real issues that we are talking about, it's very, very important. And that is when sustainability really comes in. And as founders existing in the communities, in the cities, where we have a desired need of having coexisting with our entities, it is very, very important to have this. If you don't have this understanding, you cannot even think about innovation. You cannot even start thinking about sustainability and what are the outcomes. And Dr. Hind has really put a very good foundation and really told us what are the benefits that we really have to think about sustainability. And more importantly, is that sustainability will put you in the point of existence, because without it, you will be the first person to die. So that's very, very important. So I thought it would have been very, very important to start my conversation this evening from that point of view of creating a context. And the most important thing around this is that it is underpinned by the SDGs. The SDGs framework gives us a very, very clear pathway that we can be able now to look at this and be able to package it. And the center of this is looking at how are our institutions better positions to innovate? How have they been structured to drive cultures which are inclusive? How have they been positioned to drive cultures that are able to look beyond themselves? So it's very, very important to look at institutions, and institutions are only not limited to systems and processes. We are also looking at the enabling environment. In other words, we are looking at issues like policies, we are looking at issues of legislation, and more importantly, the goodwill, the political goodwill, the leadership goodwill. And as founders, there is no other responsibility that we have than driving that leadership that creates that enabling environment for this to thrive. So it's very, very important to really even look at our entities that we are leading as institutions of change that are at the center force of driving the sustainability agenda. And that can only come if our leaderships are strong, if they are accountable, and they are transparent. And that is when we will now talk about sustainable development, because some of the things that are making our development not be sustainable is because we are taking some of the things at face value. We are not accountable, or if we are accountable, we are not accountable to the right people. We really need also to know, like, our stakeholders. We need to know who are our internal stakeholders, who are the external stakeholders. And that is when we can be able now to even map the interactions, the impact, and be able to put in the necessary mechanisms that can drive our societies forward, but starting with our institutions. So I am underpinning this into having this mind frame that are able to put us in a place where the institutions that we are leading as founders are at the center of this conversation. And we are being proactive to lead that conversation of putting and mainstreaming the effective and strong systems in our leadership. So this is very important. I chose these three aspects because if you look at it, and from our experience in Kenya, like from what I work with mostly, I've worked with the SMEs and small and growing businesses. And like in many places in Africa, and I'm sure also in India, these small businesses really are the real drivers of the economy. And the big question is that what are they doing to integrate the thinking about sustainability? What are they doing in terms of ensuring that their governance systems are up to date and are able to respond to the emerging issues? And the preoccupations that they have most is to looking at the profit motive. And they do this through driving of their businesses, their vision through people. But in the process of doing that, they are also interacting with the planet. So beyond thinking about where to place the business, what products they need to do, it is now imperative, and the two speakers have already given us a foundation of that we have to now really think about this. And the way to look at it is to not just desire to change things, to innovate, but we are doing innovation with a very important component of driving value. In other words, we are trying to add not only the quality of our products, but also the quality of life, the experience of all the aspects of life around what we do. And I think that's one of the most important things that the SDGs give us as a framework to think through this, because it gives us a moment also to reflect why we do what we do. And I think when you do that is when you now say, now the times have changed. We now know to rethink how we interact with our planet and how we interact with our people, both externally and internally. And if we do that, we'll be able to reap from the benefits of that. And that is how we unlock value. And for me, it is an issue of looking at how this is driven by the founders, because at that point is where you have to rally all your resources, you have to rally all your systems towards driving that to happen. So innovation is almost all about value. It's if you're not unlocking value, if you're not adding value, there is not innovation. There is no need for you to just change for the sake of changing or doing things in a different way if it is not unlocking value. And why this is important is that we're having this conversation today because we want to make sustainability to be our way of life. We want it to be our culture. Where I come from, there's a way we do things. So I come from the fishing community in Kenya. So there's a way we cook fish. There's a way we go to the lake. There's a way we interact with other fishermen because that is our culture. And innovation becoming a culture in our entities, in our organization, in our companies, starts from the very, very basic level of idea. So I'm introducing you to the 3 I's, which first of all, I'm looking about what idea, and this is where your vision, your aspirations are put together, where the goals and the objectives of what you want to really do as an entity are enshrined. The second bit of it are the individuals. These are the people who are helping you drive this. These are the people who are working in those organizations. These are people you're interacting with. These are the people who are benefiting from the existence of your organization. And more importantly, as the institution, I already talked about the institution. So when we're talking about innovation, we really need to look at it broadly in terms of these 3 areas. And this is when now we'll be able to unlock the value. And I use this portrait like a piggy bank for the children, where they're saving slowly and slowly. And as Dr. Hind had told us, that this ideally we're doing it as something that is very important because it will really bring direct benefits to us. And I think that is what I want to point out today, because that is at the center of what founders should be thinking about. So it is important to answer the question on how do we mitigate the consequences of failure when we come forth with new ideas, because that is the challenge that everyone thinks about. And that is why people have fear to innovate and to do things in a different way. But this fear can only be taken away if leaders are able to create a culture of experimentation, a culture that is able to look at the risks of not doing that and putting in necessary mechanisms that can be able to help us to de-risk that opportunity, to de-risk that existence. And that's how people can be able to live. And I came up with a simple framework that some of the things that we can do practically and as takeaways to really make this to happen, because I really wanted to look at this from a very practical way. One of the things is about looking at our values and principles as companies or an organization. How are these resonating with the new normal or resonating with the agenda of sustainability, or the way your values and your principle as a company has been since 1960 is what you're just carrying on along. So I'm challenging you that you need now to go and rethink about it and really align this to sustainability. And by doing that is when now you can start thinking about how this will be fostering that innovation culture, and the sustainability mindset will be put at the highest level. The second part is about measuring impact. And the measuring of impact, I liked what Dr. Hind says, that if you don't measure the right way, you won't do it the right way. I think for me, that was so profound. And it really, really, really inspired me, because we have now to have evidence. And now in this evidence, it will be able to tell us what are we measuring and how are we measuring? Because right now, when we talk about sustainability, there are so many metrics of measuring. Your organization may have its own metrics of measuring. So what are you using? But my message today is that even within your M&E framework, start measuring something. People should now start seeing that we are aligning our measurement of our KPIs on impact. The other aspect is about talent. I'm not saying that today we start asking our employees about climate change and all that, but try to understand the people that who are coming to work for you, trying to bring them into that consciousness of thinking about sustainability, thinking about climate change, thinking about their fears, so that with time also you can also start even adding some of those aspects into their job description and even to their career development plan, so that this is really enshrined in the organization. And if you as a leader, you're not driving that, that will not happen. But coupled with that, there's also the need to just ensure that your internal stakeholders are continually educated. You're building their capacity in terms of what are the issues, what are the changes that are happening in our environment, and what are we are doing as an organization to be able to adapt, and what are the benefits that we are doing, and how is our society impacted with that. So when you have this consciousness and there's a deliberate program that happens in your company, in your organization, as a leader, you're positioning this agenda at the highest level. And now people know that among the other things that we discuss as a company, we are also very strong about sustainability and what changes are we making in terms of innovation to be able to adapt and make what we do relevant to our external environment. And I think for me, that is something that is very, very pertinent. And these are very simple steps that we are able to undertake as leaders in the company. The other thing is about living a lifestyle of this, what we are able to see as leaders, because people are looking at you. How do you use your flights? How do you, as a leader, use your time? How do you handle your office? Before you come to tell us about how we need to enshrine sustainability, are you leading that life? Are you changing the way you do things? Are you just predictable? Because that predictability is what we're trying now to avoid. And because the times we're living in are not going in a linear way, it is so haphazard. Today we're working from the office, tomorrow we're not working. So very, very important to link. So these 5 areas are some of the things where I could call upon you to take action in terms of making this a reality. So my role today was basically just coming to stretch you a little bit, to remind you that we have a unique opportunity to do this. Among the other 5 things that maybe we could also think about is trying to really put incentives where we can encourage this behavior so that we are able to reinforce that culture of innovation to drive sustainability. Thank you very much for this wonderful opportunity. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Mr. Dennis, for that excellent session. I'm sure our audience would have found great value in your session. Looking forward to working with you in the future as well. Thank you so much.
Thank you
for joining us.
Pleasure.
Yeah, please, if you could close the, thank you so much. Next, we have a session by Ms. Foloke Michael. Foloke Michael is a disruptive innovator and winner of the UN SDG Action Award for the Innovator category in 2018. She is the founder of the Green Entrepreneurs UK, and she's going to talk about driving innovative global movement against climate change. Over to you, Ms. Foloke Michael.
Good afternoon, evening, and morning, everyone. Can you hear me very clearly, please?
Yes, perfectly.
Yes. Let me start by saying thank you to MS Apana and Mr. Startouch for this great project that you have put together. You have decided on your own to create a movement, a global movement, to promote the world, to help us drive innovation, entrepreneurship, and creativity around the world. We are grateful for this opportunity, for bringing us together. Very grateful. So let me start by thanking again Dr. Dennis Okore. He has laid a very good foundation for me to speak. In fact, I'm going to be speaking certain things because it's going to be repetition. We've never met yet. He spoke my mind and he has told us to take action. We should drive innovation. We should use innovation to drive sustainability. And the key question that I took away from his talk is, are we really living a sustainable life? we need to check ourselves. I mean, this is the point where we need to go back to the drawing board and criticize ourselves first. Are we, what we are telling the world to do, are we already living such life? Are we living sustainably? What happened to our lifestyle, our offices? Are we leading change? If we are not, we better go back and lead change before we go back and start talking to others. I think that was really profound. So climate change is very real and it's all over. It is not a problem for Asia or Europe or Africa. It is a global problem. The earlier we start driving innovation, the better for us. And the most important aspect of this is if we decide to take responsibility as founders, as women leaders, as creators, we are going to be creating massive social impact in different communities around the world, plus creating businesses. Because for every problem, really, your solutions are necessary. And those solutions are not going to be free. They're going to be at a cost. So founders in the house, CEOs, and directors, let us come together to create solutions that is marketable, that is sellable, and that is sustainable. So that as we are doing that, we are going to be creating social impact as well as profit. The world, as I said, is experiencing the effect of climate change. We will see it in form of weather variations, weather events across the world. Temperatures are actually increasing everywhere. Flood, drought, desertification and land degradation and loss of biodiversity. That quickly takes me to COVID. I mean, if you go deep into the cost of those projects, of COVID, the first thing that will strike your mind is the loss of biodiversity. Scientists say there are over 1.7 million viruses in animals that can creep into the world. COVID is just one of them. So if we don't want the world to shut down anymore, there's need for us to create solutions that will help us to avoid that. Of course, there is soil erosion and flood caused by all sort of intensity of rainfall in many parts of the world. This changing weather pattern are already disrupting livelihood. So many poor people are being created around the world. They are being on daily basis. We see people that are displaced, people that are displaced in their homes, the farms and all of that. So more poverty, more gender imbalance. But you know what? The more we create founders, the more we get a solution across the table. And meanwhile, women, young people, and people living with disabilities, they are more vulnerable to effects of climate change. And they constitute the most world poor. So, and most of those people around the world, they are dependent on natural resources, which is really threatened by climate change. They face social, economic, and political barriers that limit their coping capacity. So I'm still driving somewhere. So we need more rigorous mitigation efforts to protect people and their livelihood. Climate disruption is real across the world. So what do we need to do? To educate, to build capacity, to create solutions and begin to solve problems. And you may ask me, how do I solve the problem of the world? My answer is start from your household, like Dr. Dennis already told us. You have to start from your company. You have to start from your community. It is called local action. Take local action, solve take local action towards solving global issues. So it has to start no small action. The earlier we start that, the better for us. So how may we, if I may ask the question, my problem statement right now is, how may we drive innovative movement on climate change? That is my question mark. And the answer is, we need to look at the future we want to create. What future do we want to see? You need to visualize. Maybe your own solution statement will be by 2030. we must achieve goal 1 to 17, or by 2030, we need the world to take enough action that will make us to mitigate the effect of climate action, looking on the climate action goal 13 alone. So how do we achieve the future we want to create? It's about looking into the future, creating the future in our mind eye, draw the future we want to see, go backward and start designing the project that will help you to get into the future that you have designed to see. And this is what we are doing in this part of Africa, which is Nigeria at the moment. I'm working out of London and out of Lagos, okay? So this is where our skills come on board as founders and CEO. We need to grab courses. We need to go for knowledge, like the kind of forum we are right now, gain 1 or 2 things and start learning so that you know that your skill is very important to design the future you would like to see. So I'm going to take a case study that would help us to digest what we are doing around here. So some months ago, we realized that we need to pick up a project that would drive action globally by taking local responsibility. So the project is called The Road to Planting 10 million trees, sustainable economic trees in Nigeria by September 2030. So in my mind eye, myself along with my team, we have seen 10 million trees on the ground. That's the project we want to see in 2030, okay? So why do we need to plant the trees? And this is where innovation comes in. We need to be able to determine why are we doing what we are doing? Because it's not enough for us to gather, talk about projects, and come back next year, we're still talking about it. We must mitigate the effect of climate change by taking responsibility with utmost importance. I mean, it has to start now. So why do we want to see that project in 2030? So I define as we want to be able to capture carbon through tree planting. If you may know, planting of 6 indigenous trees is equivalent to 1 ton of carbon dioxide. So meaning that you can offset your carbon footprint by planting 6 trees. Just 1 is just going to give you 1 ton. And then 2, to protect the planet for the future generation. That is why we're doing what we're doing. And number 3 is we are supporting the goals of Paris Agreement. And number 4 is commitment towards global net zero. This is what the world wants to see, isn't it? And that's why we're doing what we're doing. And of course, biodiversity protection to protect us from all sorts of diseases. And of course, commitment to ESG, which is environmental, social, and governance. That is why we want to do what we want to do. So now, what kind of step do we need to take, or are we taking? So just sit back and relax. Having determined the project and why the project has to be done, the next stage is to look at the project processes from the beginning of the project to the end. That is from initiation to a project closure. So if we need to look at processes as founder, we need to know our starting point. Who are our stakeholders in ensuring that we'll achieve this project? Then you begin to think about, are we going to be working with children? Are we going to be working with women? Are we going to be working with so many multilateral stakeholders? Are we going to be working with community leaders? So in our own case, we determine in our heart that we're going to be working with educators, youth, governments, private sectors. We're working with facilitators around the world to ensure that this project is doable. So we started by calling for solutions across Nigeria, and we got hundreds and hundreds of solutions. We selected few of those solutions, which is about 34, and we created the solution that has been submitted in painting form so that we can generate awareness concerning the project that we are implementing right here in Africa. And having done that, we presented this solution in format that anyone around the world can understand. And by COP26, this solution was declared open officially at the Italian consulate and British High Commission as well. It was exhibited, and we had a virtual exhibition to represent the solution that will help us to achieve the goal that this project is set to achieve. And what next? We chose a particular project, not two. Out of the 34 projects were grouped into 5. We have biodiversity protection. We also have climate advocacy. We have tree planting and reforestation. We had renewable energy. So we chose to start by taking action towards tree planting in Africa, starting in Nigeria. So we designed the components of the project, because for you to achieve a project, you need to have the components of the project. You need to have the values that the project is going to be creating and the people that will help you to achieve. You can't do it alone, obviously. It's going to be a lot of company coming together to achieve the aim that you want to see. So we decided to use climate education and advocacy. People that are going to join us, especially the students, they need to understand what climate is all about. The community that will be supplying a whole lot of materials, the inputs, the seedlings, we needed to let them realize that this is why we are doing what we are doing, so that we can create massive employment. That's exactly what we did. So we had massive education curriculum. We partnered with the government, the Ministry of Education, and they approved the schools that we are going to be working with. And of course, the curriculum was approved. And we also have trainers and facilitators that will help us to take the message to the students, to the stakeholders. And of course, the next thing is to plant the trees. As of today, we have planted 250 trees in 2 weeks. And we're still going to 100,000 in Lagos State alone. We already identify where these trees are going to be planted. We already know where our seedlings are going to be sourced. We're already paying for inputs that will ensure that we have this project on the ground as designed in our timeline. And the next thing was monitoring and evaluation of this project. How may we control, how may we measure the project we've started to implement? How do we report the project? So this is where technology comes in. Right now, we are inventing, which we have been able to do the first testing of the prototype of this device. This device is going to monitor all the trees that are going to be planted. Remember, it's economic trees. We're not planting non-economic trees at all. All of the trees that we planted so far and we're going to be planting in the next couple of months are all economic trees. So they're going to be tracked at one location. You will know, if I give you a code, if you get a code to a particular tree, you can actually track that tree, where the tree is planted, when it was planted, the species of these trees, what is the component of this tree, and the growth rate of this tree. We're using technology to track each of those trees. And of course, these trees also will continually be on that system, digital platform, where everyone across the world can actually know what we are doing. And this is an innovation we are planning to take to different parts of the world. That is, you can sit in a place, plant some trees around the world, and you get to see what you have planted. So what are value addition? Engagement of students, engagement of educators, massive wealth creation, because we are buying from soil to manure, we are buying seedling, we're engaging planters, we're engaging agriculturists, we're engaging consultants, and of course, we are creating new enterprises. Under our green entrepreneurs, we are creating more new enterprises, and of course, social impact for the community. You know what trees is all about: air purification, reduction of climate change, environmental protection, and all of that. And the last one is economic development. We are promoting economic development through a single project. So my message to all of us today is to realize that talk is very cheap. Action can no longer wait. And if we truly want to achieve the world we need to say, we must collaborate and start doing something that the world can copy from us. Please do not say that you're far away from America, from Europe, from India. No, you could sit in your community and be driving action that will impact the entire world. So please, I'm imploring all of us here to take action today. Go back to the drawing board, draw your projects, collaborate with stakeholders. In our own case, we are collaborating with school, educators, like I said, government, private sectors, consultants, all across the country, just to achieve one goal of planting 10 million trees by September 25, 2030. I just want to thank you again for bringing me on board to speak about what we are doing around there. And climate change is very real. You are the one that the world is waiting for to create the change that the world wants to see. And you are going to be creating businesses that will help everyone across the world to take action. Thank you very much for having me once again.
Thank you so much, Ms. Paloke, Michael. That was a really powerful and inspiring session. And thank you for that wonderful tip you shared. The founders who have no idea where to start can look into the future they want, learn what is to be done, and later by attending different forums like this and design their project plan. I'm sure this session would really make our listeners think about what they need to do towards climate action. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Welcome.
Next, we have a session by Ms. Nancy Nome. Nancy is the founder and MD Xelium Management Consultancy, and she is going to talk about how to turn ESG theory into excellence practices, focus on good governance, highest ethical and governance standards, UN SDG 16. Over to you, Nancy, for your session.
Thank you, Aparna. Thank you very much. It's my pleasure to be with you here today. And thank you, and Santosh, for this wonderful platform. And while I was listening to the speakers before me, I saw a lot of common things, and they spoke about actions, they spoke about measuring, and they spoke about a lot of the things that we need to be doing for sustainability and ESG. And I'm going to continue there talking about systems. So let me start by sharing my presentation. Can you see the full screen, Aparna?
Yes, Nancy.
Okay, so today I'm going to be talking to you just for the next 15 minutes about ESG theory and how can we make it into excellence practices. And I think it's very important from all what we've heard so far is how important are the practices of people and what do we do for the environment. So I'm going to tackle it from a business perspective, from sustainability of the processes, the systems we have in place, and how these are usually the results of three components. When companies focus on excellence, and it's not only companies, it's us individuals as founders, as people who work together, work in teams, we need to be having that focus on excellence to be able to do things right and sustain what we're doing. And it's also about the diligent leadership and about good governance. I'm going to be tackling these three from a different perspective. Now, I know a lot of companies, a lot of individuals have a lot of initiatives, a lot of things they are doing. When the SDGs started, people started mapping it to what they're doing and added some initiatives here and there, women empowerment, looking at planting trees, looking at different things which they can impact in a way or in another. But to be able to sustain all what we're doing in the future, we need to have sustainable systems in place. And I think that's why I've chosen this SDG 16 to be talking to you about today. Now I'm going to look at it from, I'm a mom of 2 adolescent kids. They're going to be in the workforce in a couple of years from now. And I always look at what makes the Gen Z people different from others, this generation, what makes it different, what makes it unique. And we know all that the aspirations of Gen Z are very high. They look at value-driven businesses. They want to really connect themselves with companies who are good. They are known to be good to the environment, good to people, companies who really have value that drives their businesses. They want secure and stable jobs. After the pandemic, after the crisis that we've had the last century, Gen Z, they are really aware how important is it to have that stability in their life. And they want to be happy, like all of us. They're really aspiring for that stability, for that happiness. They want fast track to success. They know their potential. They know that the virtual and the exposure that they have to all what is out in the world is making them strong. Now they know sometimes more than us, their parents. So they need fast track to success. They don't want to really spend a lot of time, to learn things the hard way. They want to do things right, and they want to move forward quickly. And they want safe and healthy planet. And I think this is our job and their right to have that. It's our job to protect the planet for them and to make it safe. And what we see now, it's really not what is happening. And we see the impact of the global the climate change on the different things we're having. Sorry, I'm not able to remove the pop-up here. Okay. So the important thing about Gen Z is that they also bring fresh perspective to the work. They come up with good ideas, innovative ideas. They are the one who really guide us sometimes into how to do things. But to be able to sustain all what we have, to make it available for them in the future, is really about focusing on the SDGs, focusing on the systems, and focusing on how to make things work now and in the future. And if you look at the SDG 16, it talks about promoting peaceful and inclusive societies for sustainable development, provide access to justice for all, and then build effective, accountable, and inclusive institutions at all levels. And I think one of the speakers before me spoke about this. So I'm not going to really spend a lot of time on this, but I think it's really about sustainability. And when we talk about sustainability, we know that there are three elements: social, economic, and environment. But for me, coming from a business perspective, coming from an excellence background, I will look at the sustainability of how I can have these elements and be able to have them still and have the right things done in the future. How can I sustain all what am I doing? How can I make sure that the decision I'm taking now are having the right consequence and impact on what I'm doing for the future? And this is what we really need to look at. We need to marry those two things together to be able to get the right results and the things we aspire to get. Now, if we look at the ESG, the definition of ESG is creating sustained outcomes that drive value and fuel growth while strengthening our environment and societies. And I think also speakers before me explained a lot. I think Faluka explained a lot what ESG is. But for me, I will look at it from a different perspective. And that's what I'm going to be explaining to you here today. How can I build that sustainability into the system I have? How can I make my systems, which I'm really using now, excellent in delivering the outcome that I'm expecting to get, whether I'm an institution, a corporate, whether I'm working on an individual level, a nonprofit. Everyone who has a kind of is an organization that's aspiring to get outcome need to have good systems in place. And these systems needs to be excellent. They need to be robust. They need to be able to, they need to be resilient and agile at the same time. The pandemic taught us how much is important to be able to be responsive and to be able to shift to new dimensions, to new norms, and how we spoke about the new norm for long, right? So that new norm, it's not really well defined, but it's something we need to adapt to it. It's something that we need to keep adjusting to it. And with our systems, so the SDG 17, they talk about different initiatives, different systems in them. And we have the SDG 17 talks about partnership. So all of these, they really need to have kind of systems to support them. And the ESG, the environmental, social, and governance elements, they are available and they are present in a lot of excellence models. I'm going to detail one of them for you in a while. Now, what's the difference between ESG and sustainability? I think all of us are familiar with sustainability. It's really about the earth system, the society. It's an inside-out focus on earth and social systems. We look at how we can do, how we can protect, how we can really mitigate the actions we're doing on the environment, on the planet, and even on the society and the individuals and the community. ESG is more business and finance, so it's outside out focus on earth and the social systems. And ESG is very important. It's very important, became very important for investors who they really want to know where they are spending their money, for what they are spending for money, for shareholders, for employees, for everyone who's connected with an organization is looking to understand that ESG, that the focus that the company is focusing on. And it's really became a trend that everybody is trying to understand, but that's why it's moving from a theory to practices. And we really need to understand how to put it in practice as founders. It's very important for us. Now, you will see different organizations have different focus. And what I'm trying to say is not that what we're doing as initiatives is not important. It's really important. But it will be better. It will give us a better outcome if it has a stronger foundation. Now, how do we do that? Excellence works everywhere. It works in any organization. If you look at nonprofit, you can really have excellence built in their DNA, in the way the people are doing their work, in the way they behave. So we can really have excellence everywhere. And we reach excellence, usually we say, by seeking perfection. We're never going to reach perfection. But when we try to continuously improve and reach somewhere which is a higher level, we can really keep improving and gradually attaining something which are higher levels, and we can maybe one day attain excellence. The focus here is not really about excellence, but I tie excellence to the sustainability of results and be able to continue doing what we're doing, to continue to excel in what we're doing, to continue to provide that value and make sure that we are doing the right thing. From the excellence perspective and from continuous improvement, I usually focus on two things. I like what Dr. Hind spoke about measurement, and Dr. Deming, he spoke a lot about you cannot manage what you don't measure also. But he also gave us this wheel of PDCA, wheel of continuous improvement, which a plan, do, check, act. So plan something, do it, check if what you've done is right, and it suits the purpose you wanted to achieve, and correct if there's a need. And we keep doing that. So for everything we do, if we have that practice in it, it will help us really improve on the sustainability of the results we have. On the left side, you can see the business excellence model. One of the models, all models have an element of social commitment, societal commitment, perception of the society, sustainability. All of them have really understood with time that it has to be part of their models. Otherwise, the model won't be really relevant. Now, I'm going to talk quickly about some practices to give you some good practices, how you can really have ESG and sustainability within your organization, how you can really build that foundation. So initially, I spoke about diligent leadership. So it really starts with the leadership. It starts with the senior management, how they really live that role model, what commitment they have within the organization, what messages they pass out to their people, how do they engage with everyone in the society, inside the organization, with the, and how do they really have they give direction to the company towards sustainability and ESG elements. So it really starts with the leadership. If we continue to the good governance, there are a few things here on the slide. So it's really about putting a system also for governance. That's why I call it good governance. Governance is how we do things in the organization, right? What are our values? What are the things we want to focus on? What are the things we allow? What are the things which are not allowed? What's the ethics behind the things we are doing? So we put a lot of things in place. We put code of conducts. We put things that really help us understand how to do things. But it's really a little bit beyond that. So we really need to identify the governance responsibility that the organization has to have. We need to put a system in place to help us meet legal, financial, ethical, and reporting obligations. A lot of companies, they report publicly their results. That's great. They need to have system to allow them to have accurate reporting. They use standards. They use a standard reporting mechanism for this. So you need to have that system that helps you get good governance in place. And once you have that, you need to be able to communicate it. You need to be able to share what you are doing with everyone. And you need to be able to get feedback out of everyone to incorporate into what you're doing. So you need to have good processes in place at all levels in the organization. And governance, it starts on the top, absolutely. It's really by the management, senior management, but there are certain elements of it that goes down to everyone in the organization. The value of an organization has to be practiced by everyone. It's not just for the senior management, it's from the smallest to the highest level in the organization. So it's really something that needs to have a system to transfer that information to everyone and make everyone practice those values. And really it's about for good governance is really also looking at how other organizations see us from outside. What do the people see out of what we are doing? Are we good employers? Are we good to the society? Are we really reflecting on those values we have outside our organization? Are we having good partnerships? All of these are good governance practices that organization can put in place. And all this really ties back to what I said. It's about really building excellence in the system, having sound processes. You need to define your process for governance. You need to define your process when you want to really look at sustainability. And the plan, do, check, act is really a simple way, but it's a great way to do that. What you want to do, have a process for it, implement, review, measure, review what you're measuring, the matrices, see whether you achieve what you wanted to achieve, and correct if there's a need. And here also the process of good governance also needs to be also reviewed, the process itself, to ensure that the system we put in place and meets the standard that we want to achieve. And also we have to have a provision for the change, adjusting to change, anticipating change. Before the pandemic, I think we were not taking this very much seriously, right? But the pandemic taught us that we need to really be vigilant. We need to be able to respond to change quickly, but also we need to try to anticipate the change. And now I wonder how many organizations will be better prepared if, unfortunately, we have another pandemic. Okay. So one of the things which I added in addition to my focus areas is the resource management. I think we're talking sustainability today, we're talking environment. So we can't really not focus on resource management within our organization. Minimize the adverse impact of products and services. So we really need to look at all what we're doing, even the people. If I'm a company who's heavy on logistics, I need to look at my fleet. So we really need to look at how we are utilizing resources and what impact we have on the on the planet and on the society and the community. So here I really recommend standards. There are a lot of standards that really have very good elements in that could benefit the organization, put good practices in place, and especially in terms of compliance. So there's a lot of things out there which you could benefit from and really try to do within your organization. One thing which I really recommend when resource management is look at things which you can do, which you can afford, be realistic. Sometimes companies are not realistic, right? We start doing things either too small for us or too big for us. We need to really choose what's convenient for us. And as a founder, I really recommend other companies to really focus on what's relevant to them, meaningful to them. It's not about copy paste. Systems should be built tailor-made to an organization. And of course, provide access for all stakeholders to relevant knowledge and information. We say knowledge is power, right? So we need everyone to be aware of this. Awareness, communication, we can never do enough of those. So it's very important, I think, for alignment to have everyone understand what you're working on, what you are trying to achieve. So just before I close, I would like to share with you that the outcome of having good governance in place, good systems, good processes, to look at ESG, to look at sustainability are really a lot. And just put here some of them, which are really the very obvious ones: improve reputation of an organization for its people, for the society, for everyone who's interacting with it, for its clients. Innovative strategies. I think someone before me spoke a lot about innovation also. That's really helped us when we have good systems in place, and we can have system for innovation itself. We know also what's important and what's good for our organization. Reduce business cost. When you do the right thing, when you have focus on resources, good process, efficient process, you're definitely going to reduce your cost. Maximize shareholders' return on investment, attract new clients. All of these are outcomes of having good governance and good processes in place and good systems. With this, I would like to thank you all for having me today, Aparna and Santosh. This is a great forum. I think keep doing what you're doing, because it's really very important, I think, for the founders and for also everyone on this planet. And thank you very much again for having me.
Thank you so much, Nancy, for the wonderful session. I'm sure our listeners will start looking to excellence and good governance in whatever they do after this session. Looking forward to more interactions with you.
Thank you.
Our fourth speaker in this session is Ms. Adriana Zake. She is the founder and CEO of Circular Asia Association, and she's going to talk about sustainable development and international trade. Over to you, Ms. Andrea. Adriana, are you there?
Hi, sorry about that. I'll just share my screen. Oh, I'm sharing my screen.
Yes, you can.
Okay, so
make it full screen.
Let me just move into slideshow. So thank you for having me here today. And the topic of my talk is international trade and SDGs. So we've got 4 stages here: SMEs in international trade, a tale of 2 countries, communicating SDGs, and sustainable aquaculture. So there's some interesting facts with SMEs in international trade, and I'll just start off with that.
Adriana, I'm sorry to interrupt, but you are off camera.
Okay, let me just see what's the matter here. My camera's not. Okay,
yes,
can you see me now?
Yes,
okay.
Yes, perfect.
All right. Okay, so let me get back to some statistics now on SMEs involved in international trade, because it's really actually quite interesting. And we're starting off with the EU, and the EU here, we've got 2 types of statistics. We've got, first of all, international trade by value. And as you can see, as one would expect, that international trade by value, there's more value coming out from large companies than there are from the SMEs. But on the right-hand side, we've also got SMEs weight. So how the participation rate of SMEs in international trade. So in 2019, 99% of importing enterprises in total trade, intra-EU and extra-EU, outside of the EU, were small to medium-sized enterprises. So really, that's quite surprising on the number of SMEs who are actually involved in international trade. when we go across the pond to the US, we've got, I don't have the dollar value of US trade, but as you can see, US trade fluctuates, SME engagement in international trade fluctuates between 5.5% all the way through to approximately 12%. Now, one of the interesting facts that came up during this research is that internet-enabled SMEs are the exception to the rule. That for companies that are internet-enabled, they have access or are participating in the global economy, 99%. Reports from eBay find that while only a small fraction of traditional SMEs, between 4 and 28%, are involved in the global economy, we've got 97% of internet-enabled SMEs do. So really, that's absolutely amazing, and that even surprised me. So now you're going to be wondering, well, Adriana, all these statistics are really great, but what does it mean in regards to the SDGs? The key with all this is really about how we communicate the SDGs. So we do have an opportunity, if you have your company listed, if you have your company website, and then you are able to trade globally, then you also have the opportunity to communicate your sustainability agenda to a far broader audience. And really, that's one of the biggest problems that I'm finding with the SDGs and as a circular economy practitioner, is that you can go out onto the street and you can ask somebody about, have you heard of the SDGs? And 9 people out of 10 will say no. They're completely clueless. And that's not anything wrong with them. It's simply that we're not communicating. It's just the message is really not broad enough. So even though people have heard of climate change and they'd like to shop sustainably, we still have a really long way to go before we get consumer engagement. So we've got a tale of 2 countries here, Brunei and Singapore. Now, both of them are 2 small countries, quite close to each other, part of the ASEAN region. And the reason why I've picked these 2 countries is that they're coming to a collaboration between these 2 countries from 2 very different perspectives. Singapore is looking for food security. Singapore imports up to 90% of its total food consumption, which makes it very vulnerable. And they actually have a target to reach 30% sustainability with 30% of their own food production by 2030. So that reduces that number to about 60 or 70%. Brunei, on the other hand, is an oil producing country that's looking to diversify its economy, and it sees aquaculture as one particular type of industry that can be suitable for diversity. So in a recent headline, on April 1st, this article was published that Singapore and Brunei got together in regards for agriculture and fisheries collaboration. Now, I'm not going to talk about really Singapore, because again, as I've mentioned, Singapore really comes to this, to the table looking for food security. But Brunei doesn't. Brunei is coming to the table because it really wants to grow its domestic economy through diversity and move away from its reliance on the fossil fuel industry. So as we can see, we have got micro businesses in Brunei, 39.8%, and we have small to medium businesses, small businesses, 42%. So that's a total of 82.6% that are micro to small businesses. And they make up the majority of enterprises in Brunei. And here's what that looks like. This is from the Department of Statistics in Brunei. So this is what the economic activity looks like. Unfortunately, the latest statistics were 2015. I can't get anything later than that. But Brunei is a country with under 500,000 people. It's approximately 400,000 people. So there's not a lot of people in Brunei. Singapore's a country of nearly 5 million people. So this is what their domestic economy looks like in Brunei. It's made up of a bit of manufacturing, some electricity, construction, wholesale and retail, transportation, and then we have agriculture, forestry, and fishery. Now that we've got a bit of a snapshot of these countries and who they are, Brunei and Singapore, how do they communicate their SDGs? Well, first of all, there's endless possibilities of how they can communicate, because remember, if you're an internet-enabled SME, you have a better chance of trading globally. And with that, you also have a better chance of being able to communicate your sustainability far more than if you're not internet enabled, for obvious reasons. But what does that look like? So this is actually from a Singaporean newspaper. This actually doesn't talk about sustainability or the SDGs, but what it does talk about is the future of fish farming in relationship to Singapore's food security. Now, this is very sophisticated graphic, and it's not much of a jump to move from this kind of graphic and include sustainability. We do have a bit of solar energy and algae production and rainwater collection, so there is some movement towards sustainability, how this particular fish farm manages its energy usage, its algae production, and then rainwater and water usage and water reticulation, which are very important components for sustainability. So as you can see, it's a very sophisticated graphic. This is from a newspaper in Singapore. It's also online, and this is the kind of communication that really could do very well with helping people truly understand about how things work in regards to sustainability. Now, on the other hand, Brunei doesn't do a great job. The best image I could find, and this has got nothing to do with sustainability, but Brunei seems to be more focused on the public relations aspect of it, rather than the technology or the sustainability aspects of it. And really, Brunei is the one that it's much more important for Brunei to engage in a far deeper conversation with their audience in regards to SDGs and sustainability, because they're the ones that want to diversify their economy. So, and remember, 86% of Brunei's economy is made up of micro and small businesses. So I don't know how many of those small businesses are internet enabled, but if they're, so it would be difficult to find that statistic. But it's really critical that Brunei really moves into a more sophisticated way of being able to communicate its sustainability, which is the whole point of really my talk as part of international trade. So what does sustainable aquaculture look like? Well, the good news is that we are having more fish on our tables that come from farms than wild catch. So that's really good news. The headline for this, fish in, fish out, is really about how much fish does it take wild fish to feed farmed fish. And so if it takes more than one wild fish to grow one farmed fish, then that's really not very good. We want to have less. And over the last few decades, that has actually come down quite significantly. Now it's around 0.28 or 0.3% of a wild fish. And also that we also have different types of fish food now. that are being, and black soldier fly, which is a part of food waste. So we are really moving along significantly and putting less pressure on wild fish to farm our fish farms or to feed our fish farms. There's also a huge environmental impact. We have greenhouse gas emissions per kilo of seafood. So as you can see here, there's a selection on this graphic that has farmed and wild seafood, wild caught seafood. So there's a significant amount of greenhouse gas emissions in regards to it. Now, what's interesting with this graphic, if you can see, that they've benchmarked it against chicken. So chicken kind of sits in the middle of all this in regards to greenhouse gas CO2 emissions or greenhouse gas emissions. So the people behind producing these graphics wanted us to understand that in relationship to proteins that come from chicken, in regards to sustainability and greenhouse gases, you know, some wild caught fish actually doesn't do very well, whereas farmed fish does a little better. And this is something that's very important. If Brunei, as a small country wanting to diversify its economy, is going to start moving towards sustainability, which it must do, then these are the kinds of information that it'll need to have. So getting aquaculture right, this comes from the World Resources Institute. They've come up with 5 different approaches in regards to how you can get your sustainability right. You can invest in technological innovation and transfer, focus beyond the farm, shift incentives to reward sustainability. So for example, the Thai government, they started rewarding fish farmers, legal fish farmers. So apparently, which I didn't know, there's quite a number of illegal fish farmers. But if you were a legal fish farmer, you were rewarded with grants and low interest loans, free water, and other incentives. So if you're part of the system, you get benefits. And if you're not part of the system, obviously you don't get any benefits. Leverage on the latest information technology and eat fish that are low on the food chain, that require less input for output. Remember, it's how much food a fish requires to be able to produce that 1 kilo of protein. But I've got another one. I've added in a 6th strategy. And this is really has been the foundation of my talk here today, is about communication. That's really, there's just simply not enough communication. And I'm not talking about greenwashing. I'm talking about how, even if you say we are trying to be sustainable and we are doing one thing, perhaps it's just putting up a solar panel, or it's some small effort that you're making. You're buying black soldier fly from food waste to feed your fish. Just something that's genuine and real and authentic, that communicates some effort towards sustainability, so that you can give your investors and your customers and your employees some level of confidence that you are actually moving towards a sustainable future, and that you're not simply out of the loop, or that you're seeing it as a cost. So it's really critical to, in my opinion, that this process start, and that it's, again, obviously you have to be doing something that's real and genuine. So about Circular Economy Asia, we do 3 things. We do resource recovery for secondary raw materials industry. We provide skills training to deliver circular outcomes, and we are involved in circular supply chains and resource management, around resource management. So thank you so much for having me. You can contact me at adriana@circulareconomyasia.org, and you can visit my website, circulareconomyasia.org.
Thank you so much, Adriana, for that very informative session. Looking forward to working with you in the future as well. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. And with that, we come to the end of our powerful Sustainable Development Session 1. And before we move on to Session 2, a gentle reminder to all the speakers to keep their times. We are running a little bit late. And in Session 2, we have 4 speakers. We will begin with, wait, is this procedurally just? Did I scare you? Don't worry, this is not a question, but this is the topic of our next speaker, La Juana Chambers Lawson, the founder and CEO of Tacit Growth Technologies, Tacit Growth Strategies LLC, a global impact investment and PMO firm. And TGS is also the impact investment partner for this 3-day summit. Let's listen to her as she speaks on, wait, is this procedurally just? Highest ethical and governance standards, UN SDGs 16. Over to you, La Juana.
Well, thank you so much, Aparna. I am going to share my slide presentation. We are going to be discussing procedural justice today because this is one of those topics.
You have muted yourself, La Juana. Yeah. Yes, now we can hear you.
All right, I think we're good to go now.
Great.
So again, our topic of discussion today is wait, is this procedurally just? My name is La Juana Chambers Lawson. I go by the PMO CEO. I'm the founder and chief executive officer of Tacit Growth Strategies. We are a management consulting project management office leading strategy for an environmentally sound, socially just, and inclusively governed tomorrow. We've been featured in the Oprah Magazine, Entrepreneur, Forbes, MarketWatch, and several other publications. So what exactly is procedural justice? When we talk about procedural justice, we're talking about when employees perceive that the processes that lead to important outcomes are fair and just. Procedural justice is based on the premise that the most fair and respectful decision will be made regardless of who it applies to. Procedural justice involves creating policies and procedures that take all perspectives and concerns into consideration. Procedural justice also involves decision-making that is based on fact and appropriate for the action. And finally, we have here, procedural justice ensures equity and fair treatment company-wide. Now, what most people are familiar with as it relates to procedural justice is law enforcement and court systems. So in the court systems, judiciary systems across the world, and within law enforcement specifically, we see this conversation, this notion, this topic of procedural justice is very common. When we think about law enforcement, the easiest example to think of or to consider is when you're driving, right? So you're driving your vehicle, you're driving a little bit too fast, you're going faster than the speed limit, for example, or you might come to a stop sign and instead of completely stopping, you have a rolling stop. Now, I'm guilty of this. I do this all the time and I need to stop it. We call it a California stop. I have to come to a full stop when I get to the stop sign. That's what we're supposed to do. A lot of us, however, are in a hurry and we don't stop completely. So what happens? The police officer might see us. They might, stop us on the road. They pull us over and they say, I'm going to give you a ticket today because you did not come to a complete stop at the stop sign. Are you going to feel that this was not procedurally just? Well, it depends on how they treat you, right? It depends on how the police officer treats you. It depends on how they come to that decision to give you that ticket. But the reality of the situation is that when we perceive that procedural justice is present, we understand that, we sort of accept the penalty. So if you know, for example, that you didn't come to a complete stop at that stop sign and someone saw you and that someone was a police officer and you end up getting a ticket, you're not going to necessarily feel that it wasn't procedurally just, right? You broke the law and you got fined or penalized for breaking the law. you understand that it had nothing to do with who you are as a woman. I'm just saying, for example, as a woman, as a Black woman, as a young Black woman, as an older Black woman, as an older, Asian woman. It doesn't matter who you are. The reality is that you broke the law. The procedurally just repercussion for that applies across the board. Now think about that in the context of the organizations that you're working within. Procedural justice is not limited to court systems or law enforcement. Procedural justice, as it relates to the United Nations Sustainable Development Goal number 16, which is peace, justice, and strong institutions, applies across the board. Okay, so what we're going to talk about next are those evidence-based best practices for founders who are driving the UN SDG number 16 as it relates specifically to procedural justice. So your highest ethical and governance standards, that's what we are constantly aspiring to as founders. Now here's some evidence-based best practices. Here are some qualities of what we like to say are really the foundation for the highest ethical and governance standards as it relates to SDG number 16. Your first one here is ethical leadership. Ethics should permeate all aspects of organizational operations, planning, and growth priorities. We should be incentivizing ethical leadership. We should also be very clear on what ethical leadership looks like within our organization. Impact and social entrepreneurship, as we know, in order to be really categorized as an impact or social entrepreneur, and this is for nonprofit businesses and for-profit businesses alike, in order to have that specific classification, you have got to have results that are both financial and ethical. You're generating results financially as well as ethically. Okay, you're a leader that embodies the principles that we find within the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, all 17 of those goals. Plus, you are an effective leader because you can generate and sustain revenue. So you're driving financial and ethical returns as a visionary and a lead change agent. The next quality here is principles and procedures. We've had previous speakers talk about the importance of governance. You cannot have a high ethical standard within your organization if there's not procedural justice. Governance is how we're able to then evaluate and assess and really create the foundation and the basis for procedural justice. Now, principles that provide values and standards, rules of behavior that guide ethical decision-making, as well as incentivize it. Next up is judgments. This is another quality. Are you aware of implicit bias and how it may show up in your own convictions? We have to have this conversation as leaders, as founders, all of the time, because when we look at people, when we hear someone speak, when we interact or engage with someone in their environment, we have our own implicit biases that come into the way that we determine what types of decisions that we make and what types of ways that we perceive those individuals that we're interacting with at that particular moment. We have to check that, because that is what determines sometimes how we treat people and how we respond to people. We have to make sure that as leaders, as founders, that we, in our own day-to-day interactions with individuals in our lives, we have to make sure that we are carrying forth the best practices, these evidence-based best practices of procedural justice. We're treating everyone fairly. We're considering the way that we make decisions is considering all of the information that we have at that particular moment. We're making the best decisions for the people that we employ, for the people that we ultimately are serving. The next quality here is associated costs. And this is where we're talking about differentiating between picking your brain and actually paying that consultant? Are you aware of implicit bias and how it may show up in who you pay for consulting services and who you don't? Now, as women, we deal with this all of the time. It doesn't matter what corner of the world you might be in. I cannot tell you how many times I talk to founders about their particular areas of expertise and how they're able to show up in the business world, how they're able to show up and how they're able to get visible and stay visible. Consulting provides a lot of that legitimacy that we need to be able to walk into certain rooms and have people listen to our opinions and our perspectives and our experience and value or qualify that experience as being just as valuable or just as impactful as someone else who might be a male, who might be also in the same industry. So we have to make sure that as founders, we are leading that as a best practice with our own businesses. So for example, within Tacit Growth Strategies, we are always hiring consultants from the community. So we have people who may not have even finished their college education, but we will have them as vendors. When you look at our supply chain management, they will be within our information systems as vendors. And we have records of paying these particular individuals from the communities that which we say we serve. We have records showing that we have hired them as consultants. That is what we're talking about. That's an evidence-based best practice. No, it shouldn't be only a certain type of person or only a certain type of people who get afforded the opportunity to be hired as consultants. We have to make sure that we're distinguishing picking your brain from actually hiring this person as a consultant, because there's a lot of disrespect and there's a lot of harm done to a community of people when we continue this pick your brain practice. It hurts a lot of people, hurts a lot of families. The last one here is information systems. Procedural justice is non-existent without the integral interaction of hardware, software, databases, networks, and people. That is the foundation, of course, for management information systems, or MIS. When we talk specifically about procedural justice, especially as myself as a consultant, I ask my clients up front to give me access to their information systems. It doesn't matter if it's a customer relationship information system, if it's a manufacturing information system, a finance information system. It doesn't matter the type of information system. I need to be able to look to see what types of variances exist, why they exist, things of that sort. So we can talk about that another time. Now, here's a little bit of information about Tacit Growth Strategies before we get out of here. Again, we are a leading management consulting project management office that serves both the public and private sectors. Our team provides expert process results-oriented consulting services with broad capabilities in project management, government contracting, procurement, and supply chain management, as well as grant and proposal writing, no matter the industry or geographic location. Our website is on this particular slide, but it's also on our final slide, which is at growthistacit.com. Our phone number is 210-904-0457 in the United States. Our email is info@growthistacit.com. And if you scan this page, this QR code, you'll go straight to our website. Thank you again for the opportunity to present today.
Thank you so much, Lahuana. That was a very powerful session. As you said, as visionary leaders, we have to focus on high ethical leadership and be leaders of change. Thank you so much for joining us today and supporting us in this event. Thank you. Now we have a session by Ms. Anja Karan, founder and CEO of Thea International, and her topic is New Leaders Think and Act Beyond Global Mindset for a Sustainable Future. Over to you, Ms. Anja Karan.
Right. Okay. So good afternoon, good evening. I'm happy to be here, and it's always a little bit difficult if you come in the second round because actually everybody told so many things about the topics, and everything what I want to say is touched in one or the other way. And that makes me always a little bit nervous if I follow everybody up. But there have been already so many nice and interesting insights and sharings that, I will try to figure a little bit around and try to add something from my experience. The topic today is new leadership beyond and mindfulness, global mindfulness. And as far as I see this, we maybe don't have to discuss it here because we are already very well on the way, and everybody here is here because they understand the main issue of this and the importance of having a global mindset. This network is a perfect example of that, and the result, if you understand this. So why do new leaders for a sustainable and regenerative future need a global mindset? That is actually the question, because sometimes if we hear that, we talk about and we think about more local business. And why local business needs a global approach. More and more, we understand that all the challenges we face, they may be coming from one point of one part of the planet, of one local area, but they affect all of us. And that is because everything is so connected. Innovations are connected, challenges are connected. We cannot step back from that. And as well, we maybe find solutions in parts of the world we never knew about that. And if we have this exchange, and if we only would think locally, we would not come to innovation and would not drive the possibility to come up really with a change what is needed. So global challenges and as well chances need global approach. And as well, for that, to be able to have a global approach, you need the mindset for that. The challenges are there as well for the sustainability approach. They are on the economic side, they are on the ecologic side, and they are on the social side. That is connected, but all our approach, so far as I see that in the education still, as well in many businesses, they are linear structured. We talked about that, but the meaning of this means that there are no crosslinks, but the challenges and as well the innovations, they are cross-linked. So it is an urgent need to start and to open the mindset in this, and that means collaboration, sharing, and as far as I see it from my seaside consultants experience, and as well from my travelings and working in over 40 countries over the last 20 years, I can say that I identified 5 main topics what we really can have a look on and to see, and maybe it's a pity we cannot discuss this. I would love to discuss this with you. 5 topics on the way to become a new leader, and as well to drive businesses into a sustainable future. The first is the global mindset. It starts always with ourselves. Everybody knows that. So it's a little bit, it's maybe a little bit tiring to stress this here, because you're already so well in that. The global mindset leads as well to creativity and innovation. So if we don't think and connect globally and with other leaders or other people, it doesn't matter where we find our learnings and to whom we are listening, as long as we understand that in everybody and everything there is a learning. Global, I read some studies last week, and the future workforces are interculturally connected. And that is clear because it's coming out of that idea. So it's no way around that. And to have this ability to understand other cultures, not only by reading, even by real exchange. Even if you cannot travel, you have the chance to exchange with people, and you have to look for this exchange and to be open up in that. That is really one of the most important topics to understand, as well challenges and driving them to innovations in future workforces. And it can lead teams to a very new dynamic, and even shift completely the idea of performance. Because in other cultures, performance means other things. You come and you can really have an awareness on learned and experienced topic fields, what gives you a completely different insight, and maybe that shifts your business in a completely different direction, and you can think things new. With our programs with over 2,000 students and school students over the last 1.5 years, I've seen that the most important thing for them meeting on global classrooms in the digital world was actually to see that they are all on one page. They share the same values. They love to listen to other aspects of different cultures, but at the same time, they don't lose their identity. They know about their roots, about their identity, but they love to connect with other people from other areas of the world. And that is one of the most interesting things I've seen, and what is really to transfer in workforces, because this is a kind of openness and curiosity, what is not only for young people, but it is the basic of driving innovation and become creative. And as well, to drive trustful and loyal relationships. Even we all know that we are here connected, and maybe we never meet physically. Maybe we have the chance, maybe not. But to be able to connect on a level like this, to come as well to topics and to show maybe vulnerabilities, or to share very insights, really share them, and not coming back and showing only our forces, even sharing our limits, talk about that. That is as well something what a new leader with a global mindset has developed. So it's going beyond. And only if that is possible, we can lead in a different way, maybe innovations, maybe a completely different understanding once more. So coming again to a new leadership, I think highlighting sustainability and my experiences in these different fields of businesses as well in grassroots areas, I think we come up more and more with holistical approaches. There's actually no way around. And it is about a different way of product development. So we will ask ourselves as leaders, as mindful leaders, if this product, what we develop is for whom, and is it really needed? And what do we take from the earth, and are we able to give it back? So this kind of thinking will be a completely different one if we know about other countries and the effects on other areas in the world. If we don't know about it, we never would care. We never would understand. We never would understand the limits in our ideas, and we drive like everybody did before, faster, higher. That is not the approach anymore. And I think if we are able to connect differently with all the cultural knowledge around, we will be able to find a holistic approach as well in the product development. If we come from that point, the next point will be how we organize our structure, our organizational structure. And this is impact-driven. Even for businesses, impact-driven was very well known for non-profit sectors. But in the business areas, it was never known, because even today I heard about outcome, but not a lot about impact. Outcome is only limited to the target group. Impact is a society change. So that is really the influence we have. So if we come back and we say, okay, how do we develop products? If we do it really in a holistic, sustainable way, then our organizational structure has to reflect that. And that means that project management will change, because the end will be the start. We have to know where we want to go to. What do we want to change, and what effects will be driven in that area as well globally? If we cannot know about that, we will be not sure, at least in the decisions we take in this moment. We don't know really what it means in 2 years or maybe in 1 year. But for this moment, we should have the best analysis and the best starting position. If we don't start with the impact, we never will come there. We never will reach there. That is something as well, coming back to the next point. of the awareness, it's policy driving. A new leader today has to understand about policies, not only about impact, because we are in pioneer times. Pioneer times means that structures, society structure, economical structures will be changed. So who is driving this change? And who is defining the structures for this on a global level, on a country level? Yeah, there are normally governments and maybe as well very powerful industries with a lot of advocacy. But today it changes again, because as we see, for example, our network or the other network I'm presenting as G100, they will drive, we will drive, they will drive, we will drive together policies. We will set up the framework, so we come as a new player on this field, and that is very, very powerful. And only we can do that if we have the mindset for that, and if we understand that policy driving is not something what happens in a legal part of one company. No, it is really affecting new business and sustainable fields, and it will be the part of it. And coming back to the next point, it's about the awareness of the field of innovation. If I have a global aspect, I know where innovations in my field are driven. I maybe have a look at grassroots innovators in different countries. I'm connected, I can see what happens. If I have a global mindset, I'm not only looking in my closer field of my experiences, of my product world, I go beyond. I see maybe as well non-profit sectors. I see under different industries. I understand the different connections because I see the universe around that. And there I will see as well where my limits in my product development is, where the limit is my businesses, and how I can overcome that. And I understand it much better. Sometimes as well, I understand the communities much better because I know about their traditions. I know why something is like this. Coming from this part of the smaller view and see only my business field and my capacity field, there's another one that is the meter of the innovation, what is driven around us, but has a big, big influence on us. And that is, for me, there are 4 points, 4 key points. One is, of course, the environmental development. Everything what is driven there, everything what will be done there has to come into our consideration because it has influences on us. And then we have, of course, the artificial intelligence. So we cannot avoid having knowledge about these sectors because it will affect us. It did already. Neuroscience is coming directly into that. All these influences will lead us to the question, what world do we want to live? And are we on that page to design that in the way of sustainability and regenerative futures? Or are we just following up old pathways? Then the last thing in that category for me is cryptocurrency. It's not on the page. The new currencies and cryptocurrency is not on the page of a lot of young and business leaders now. They think it goes on like this. Only a few people have a view, an eye view on that. No, it won't. The financial systems of us are already changing. When I was coming from the capital market 20 years ago and today, it is a completely shift what's going on. And not much knowledge is provided in that. As well in the influences of artificial everything what is actually driven purely in the internet is not really visible for a lot of different generations in our age and even younger. I can tell you the young people I'm working with, about over 1,000, they don't have a clue about that. It's not only that the young ones know that because they're young. It's not true. They have it and they think it will continue in the way it does. And that leads us as well to a very important point. Where do we find money in that? And there are new investors coming up, impact-driven investors. The venture side is changing. And this gives us a big chance if we understand all these different steps from the mindful leadership over the organizational structure, over different impact-driven policies, policy driving, project management, we will be able to drive money in a different way and provide sustainability and resilience in our business fields. And that is leading to gender equity from my point of view. And I don't know where I'm in the time, but I think I'm quite coming to an end. And yeah, I thank you very much for the time to speak about that. I hope that I could contribute a little bit from my experiences and open up a few ways of somebody who thinks a little bit different than most of the people. I'm happy to follow you up in the next sessions. Thank you very much for your awareness.
Thank you so much, Ms. Sanja Karan, for that excellent session. As you mentioned in the beginning, the sessions may be repeated sometimes, but it helps reinforce our learning, especially to the founders who are starting their journey towards sustainability. Thank you so much for joining us today and for enlightening us with your experience. Thank you. Next, we have a session on lifelong learning using coaching with NLP by Nada Ahmed El Ghazar. Nada is a business excellence expert, certified NLP coach, and certified master practitioner of NLP in the UAE. Over to you, Nada, for your session.
Salam, Aparna. I'm very sorry the camera seems to be having some problem, but definitely I have a presentation. If I prepared a presentation, a very small one to explain exactly about the sustainability and how it relates to the coaching. I can share the screen, right?
Yes, so we are able to see your screen.
Can you see, please?
Yes, we can see your presentation, but share it in slideshow mode. It's not in slideshow mode.
Definitely,
Yeah.
I'll be opening the camera after. So I care about now the how I explain about my journey in coaching. My name is Nada Al-Ghazzar, and I'm a certified NLP and CBT practitioner. I'm so happy to be with you guys today. My areas is about personal empowerment programs and corporate level programs, where I really look into emotional intelligence, personal branding, using NLP to achieve my goals, how you use to achieve your goals, anxiety management, communication skills, and corporate level programs for customer service excellence, UAE, and government excellence program. I want to let you know about my story in very brief terms. How I started, it was from 2002, where I have been working in more than 8 companies in diverse fields, where I have ended currently working as business excellence expert in Rabdan Academy. It's a policing academy. And despite all this career achievements and diversified fields and all this career related businesses and sectors and so on, I found that I really wanted to do something more, which where I have studied coaching and specifically about lifelong learning, how much it is so important for us to give back to the community and add value to the society around us. So I had a challenge from where to start, what courses can I take, but actually one of the very important things in lifelong learning is to take action, to go and study and do whatever you want to give back in any sort of giving back to the community, which is a passion that you have or any course that you want to take. Here I have actually studied NLP and coaching, and my journey to lifelong learning has already started, where I'm going to be showing everyone how. Actually, sustainability is very important to coaching. When you speak about sustainability and coaching is how much we have to pursue a lifestyle that we want, to reinvest in professional development as a coach and giving back to the community. Having the same level of ability to maintaining the coaching on the same level and continue giving back despite every challenge that you face. One of the very important parts is credibility and visibility. When we speak about coaching industry, having a clear performance indicators, KPIs, and getting coached. A coach needs to be coached. All of us, we want to have like what is called the blind spots. We want to see how much we have to give back to the community, and how can we make sure that someone is really assessing our coaching or our personal growth and growth journey. What I have done is actually I looked into my subconscious mind, and I decided to focus on the subconscious mind, which is 90%. Conscious mind is only 10%. Can you see me? I felt disconnected, or?
No, we have lost the PPT. We're not able to see the presentation.
I'm sorry for that.
Yeah, now we can see, but not in slides.
You can see it?
Please
okay.
do.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, okay. So now, actually, what I have also made sure to do is to have a growth and innovation mindset, which is making sure that we are already giving a growth mindset and making sure that we are pursuing our personal growth, not the fixed mindset, because the fixed mindset, it says black or white, but a growth mindset is a continuous improvement mindset. And this is what lifelong learning is all about. It's about continuous improvement, is about learning continuously in a journey of self-growth, and making sure that this growth is also reflected on the others as well around you. What every mother has a challenge in is having a work-life balance, with where I've really solved this into finding my work-life balance, into giving training inside my organization. So I looked into my organizations. I started to give trainings about coaching and about communication skills. So I started from my organization, and I won the Sharek Award for knowledge sharing. And I also was nominated as an employee happiness ambassador and program ambassador. So the solution that I really advise each and everyone to be sustainable and to continue having lifelong learning is to start from where you are and look into opportunities in your current status. For example, if you are an employee, look into opportunities in your current company or organization. Then I've started also giving a lot of corporate workshops, for example, effective communication skills, the 7 stars communication skills. And this is actually my whole program lies into giving corporate and as well personal empowerment and coaching workshops. I've also run something called Renew You, which is an initiative to women empowerment in collaboration with ICF. ICF is the International Coaching Federation of UAE. And I have also I've also started working on the self-improvement of women, how women can have self-empowerment, how they can give back, how they believe in themselves, have self-confidence. And not only women, I also started to have coaching workshops with kids, giving kids and youth a lot of workshops into the area of self-confidence, anti-bullying. And I've created something called Bullying Prevention Kit, which is more about the empathy and the empowerment and tolerance. And this is actually, if you know about the Ikigai, if you know the Ikigai, if you know your purpose, this will lead you to have a sustainable business. I want to reassure about the Ikigai, and it is exactly where your passion, your mission, and your profession meet in the middle, and this is the Ikigai. So in between the 3 of those, you will find yourself in doing something that is of your purpose, to the purpose to your life. The thing that you need to really focus on, where the sustainability will come. If you know the Ikigai, the sustainability will come after that as well. I have also done a lot of talks in the International Coaches Forum, in other International Women Entrepreneurs Show, Global Women Empowerment Conference, and conference talks where among the way that I have given back to the community and working on the lifelong learning. Raising awareness on TV is another way to lifelong learning. Every experience I went on TV is how much I have gained more confidence in myself, and how I have been able to speak in public and raise the awareness about the topics that I wanted to speak about. So it's again, the challenge is how can I spread the knowledge? Many businesses want to spread the knowledge about their businesses and want to make sure that they are already raising awareness, but they don't find the right platforms. And finding the right platforms that's suitable for you is requires a lot of research and requires also to take an action towards that. Keeping resilience. Resilience is another part of coaching, and resilience is so important. The personal resilience is how when everything goes down, you keep going. And this is exactly the lifelong learning how every coach needs to be turning all their businesses into online. How we have to deliver online crisis time in any place that we are not able to deliver the right mode of being face-to-face, we need to go online. And this is how we learn about the online and the other different modes of giving your business, providing your business to the clients. So I had a lot of challenge actually in going online, where we as coaches, sometimes we were a little bit overwhelmed with what was happening in all the world, but definitely personal resilience means that you need to keep going despite any kind of crisis happening. We've launched also our business, which is a family entrepreneurship, which is Maureen Oud and Perfumes. It's an oud and perfumes, and launching new business as well in the crisis time. It was in the 2022, and we have learned a lot from this business launching, how much we have already experienced having a business in the darkest moments, which is the crisis time, and not making sure, not really being sure whether this will go on or not, but definitely give us a lot of push to launch our business even during COVID time. And I always say lifelong learning means also taking credit for all your achievements and having the pleasure of enjoying the success that you have. For each and every business, it's very important to take a step back and see what you have achieved, and also enjoy the celebrations and achievements that you have. So these are my programs. If I'm speaking about coaching and the personal empowerment programs, individual coaching and corporate level programs. And I'm very happy to connect with everyone on my LinkedIn and my website as well. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Nada, for that excellent session on lifelong learning. As you said, giving back and adding value is something to the community is very important. And for that, lifelong learning and self-improvement plays a very big role. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you. Thank you, Aparna. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. With that, we come to the end of our powerful Sustainable Development Session 2. And let's now move on to Session 3 to listen and learn more from our next set of powerful speakers. In Session 3, we have 5 speakers. We begin with the role of technology to support energy transition and create economic sustainability by Mireille Tolekima. She is the Managing Director, MT Energy Resources, Australia. Over to you, Mireille, for your session.
Good day, everyone.
Nada, yeah, thank you.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, I have a presentation as well, so I'm going to share my screen. Okay. So good day, everyone. My name is Mireille. I'm tuning in from Perth, Australia. And today I really want to talk about the energy transition that is going on right now, because I think it's an important factor for sustainability. And I want to focus on the role of technology in this
Mireille,
energy.
sorry to interrupt. Can you put it on full screen mode? It's not on slide share. Yeah.
Okay, all right.
Not yet.
So I want to focus on okay. I want to focus on the role of technology, and you probably see that technology is part of our everyday life, and that's also a key, a key thing that we need for, generate energy, but especially as we move to clean energy. So just to tell you a bit about me, so it's been said, so I'm the CEO of MT Energy Resources, but I'll do a lot of empowerment work in STEM in general, STEM standing for science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. And I've worked around the world. I'm an engineer by background, petroleum engineer, so I've worked in the energy sector. It's been more than 25 years, and so still, continue to enjoy having an impact in that energy. So just to give you a little bit of context on what's going on and what is the status that we are in and how the transition is really important, the technology at the same time. As you can see from what's happening in the world, we live in what we call a VUCA world, which is VUCA standing for volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous as well. And we've seen it, things are changing at a high speed. We had uncertainty, we saw it with the pandemic. There's also some, the market is changing right now. So there's, this complexity is there. So we need to take this into account in everything that we do. And it has an impact on how we do business and how we want to drive this sustainability that we're looking for. And the second thing that we should take into account is that we are in the middle of a technical, an industrial revolution. This one is the fourth. And as you can see from this diagram, we've gone from a mechanical production, and equipment with manufacturing type of revolution, which was, a few decades ago, to now, moving first to the third industrial, which was more about the internet and automatic production, and now on the digital. And the digital is now taking, it is taking a lot of, space in every single industry. And I think now it's everywhere. We have, the digital taking the central stage for everything that we do. So the technology is really important into our life. And it's becoming even more important with all the new technology coming in, AI and all the revolutionary, things that we see right now going on. So there are a few. I'm not going to go through each, just to give you, an idea of the different technology that are available and that are affecting our life right now. So we have, the smart sensor, we have the big data, we have the Internet of Things, and so many things, going on. So those are two things that are actually impacting us and are playing a role in the sustainability, especially as we want to aim to those and have those sustainable goals reached in 2030. So just to give you now the reality that we are in, but looking at it more from an energy point of view. So what we've seen is that for a century, we were using a lot of the what we call the fossil fuel, which is oil and gas, for energy and all kind of, thing that we needed to generate energy at home or, at an industrial level. And in the 20s, we started the transitioning through, something cleaner, because there's a climate change going on, there's green emission, and we really need to reduce this green emission. There've been, several platforms, the COP26 recently, just looking at how we can, focus on producing clean energy and creating a better world for our children and for the next generation. And obviously we had, and when you look at the curve in terms of how, the consumption of energy, we've seen that it was just going up more. We are using more and more energy, and then it went down a little bit when COVID came, because of different things. We couldn't travel anymore, so that's less kerosene, less energy, and people were, more mobile, and things were, a lot of things were stopped because of COVID. So we saw this going down, but obviously with all the activity, coming up again, that's another issue that is another thing that we need to manage to see how we can stay in the limit of the emission, that the target that we've set ourselves and globally. So we are expecting a peak, when talking about energy consumption. But what we're trying to do is have renewable, which is in red, go up using cleaner energy, and get what we call the fossil fuel energy down. And it's a challenge. And as you're gonna see, people think that it's just the problem of energy company. No, we're all involved, and it will have an impact on how we deliver the sustainable development goals and create the sustainability as well. So that's the question that we ask ourselves when we look at this picture, and we look at the urgency to reduce the emission, the urgency of creating cleaner energy, and the urgency to also make sure that we produce we get energy to the people who need it, and for their daily life and everything that they do. So the key question is, how can we do that? And technology is one aspect that we've looked at, and that can actually make a difference in the sustainable development goal, and creating sustainability for all of us. So just as I was, mentioning, it's not simple. It's not a simple process. It's going to need collaboration, because a number of industry are involved. It's not just the energy sector. It's all of us. As you can see, there's if we move to cleaner energy, there's the possibility to use thermal energy, but thermal energy, it's water. So what is going to be the water footprint? So we solve a problem, but we move to another problem. There's the reliability, because right now renewable energy is still not sustainable. It's something that is intermittent. So what do we do to make sure that it's sustainable as what we have? So that's one thing. There's the infrastructure as well. We need to see, on the infrastructure side, how we can, create efficient infrastructure that are energy efficient. There's the investment. So on the investment side, obviously, renewable energy costs a lot more money. So how do we make it cost effective and make those smart investment? And there's also the quality, of the energy that we get, because yes, it's going to be clean, but how do we deliver it, and at what speed? And is it going to be on time, or are we going to have to do major adjustment? So just to tell you that it's going to need collaboration with other industry, and collaboration with different institutions. We see now a lot of the energy company collaborating with university, institute of research to really push, and the research to create the right technology to help, this transition that we are going through. There's the capability, because those are, new, like we said, new energy. So we need new skills, and we don't have the full spectrum of skill yet. So that's another thing and it's going to impact as well the job, because a lot of people are going to migrate from the current energy system to the new energy. What are we going to do with them? Are we going to upscale them? So it's a lot, a lot of things to coordinate. So there's a lot of collaboration to be to be done in between, and also the flexibility. We have to create this flexibility in the system, how we're going to collaborate and how we're going to implement all of this. So not a very simple picture. So as people who are starting, we want to be involved in this industry. This is what they need to look at and see at which level they can bring something to make sure that this transition is happening. So just to talk about a few of the technology that are actually helping right now, we have, I talked about, the sensor technology in the energy sector, which helps, generate fast, data, because of the complexity of what's going on in the system. So we need, this real-time process to be able to get the data, and it would have not been possible without the technology. We also use, artificial intelligence as well to do all kinds of simulation, and sometimes because a lot of, the processes and the operation are actually done remotely. It actually helps, in the training and in upscaling some of the, I was talking about the skills just right now, upscaling, the workforce and making sure that, we have the right people to deliver this transition. There's the blockchain. I think, there's a lot of, talk about the blockchain. And I think it's helping a lot right now, because we can actually track down the emission and make sure that we adjust when we see that the data are going off chart, and make sure we use this technology to actually it actually helps us to have everything automated without having to physically check everything. And it's the same in the investment part, because a lot of those technologies are actually quite capital intensive. So with the some of the blockchain and the cryptocurrency, the visibility and the it gives visibility to all the investment, and also give a chance to a lot of people to participate, because it's kind of selective right now. If you're not in the industry, it's very difficult. But now, with this kind of flexibility in the investment, it gives us, the possibility to make smart investment and be part of this transition, because, as I said, everybody has to be part of it. But there are challenges. There are lots of challenges. On one side, there's what I call the polluter. Though they've been using the energy, everything. They've actually been the one responsible for the emission. So they are really pushing for renewable. But then you have the ones that are energy poor, which is mostly and we see here mostly in developing countries, especially in Africa, where they really need the energy for to have a to create, to boost our industry, the education industry, the health industry, basically have create a sustainable economy that will help them. So that's one of the challenge. How do we balance that, and how do we make sure we have an energy transition that take into account the local reality in every country or in every continent. And the other thing is, yes, we're talking about clean energy. That's the first phase. The energy that we produce is clean, but a lot of the things like the battery and when we use wind as well, how do we handle the waste? How do we manage that? How do we recycle all of this? and it's still very, very unclear about, you know, what we're going to do with all those batteries and all those what we manufacture, the raw manufacturing product that we use to generate this this energy transition. So a lot of things still up there. Yes, that's the way we should go, but at the same time, we still need to look at on the long term. Yes, the first phase, we will have the clean energy using renewable energy and all kind of technology, but the second phase, how do we improve and scale up the technology to be able to manage the waste, to be able to make sure that the emission or the pollution is not being coming later on. And that's, I think, the challenge that the industry still have, and also the challenge of making sure that the clean energy can be sustainable, because up to now there's still, I think the demand, the renewable energy cannot fulfill the demand, the global demand. There's still a mix that still need to be done, and I think that this mix will be needed for a long time, unless we start to decrease our energy need. And that's where the awareness is very important for people to understand how on a day-to-day basis they can actually reduce their consumption of energy and help this process, this transition process, so that we can reduce our emission, greenhouse emission, and help the climate change process that is going on. So just to as a takeaway, yes, the technology is the vehicle for the energy transition, and there are a number driver behind the transition. We need to look at a lot of what's going on economically, the political side, the political pressure, and we see it right now with what's going on in Europe, but obviously the technology is the most critical, as I mentioned. Another point that I really wanted to leave you with is that the energy is visible, it's available, and we will be able to produce this clean energy. But is it going to be, is it going to be sustainable? And that's where, we need to see what's going to be the mix. Are we going to continue to use, fossil fuel fully? Are we going to mix, have, a mixture of that? And I think it has to be addressed first locally, like I mentioned, because the situation are different for the different continent and the different country, but also look at how things can work for each one, each country and each continent, and address the challenge that are in front of them first. And then the clean energy, the transition will require still a lot of investment, and that's something that we need to look at. A lot of investment, but at the same time, we have to look at how smart, we're going to invest in this energy to allow the transition to happen. But obviously, the sustainability as far as the energy sector, the energy transition is concerned, is technology is key, and energy is at the center of everything. Like I said, energy will impact, our will impact, health, will impact different sector, and so it's going to be a key and a central thing to manage as far as the Sustainable Development Goals is concerned. So that's all I had for today, and so if you want to continue the conversation or contact me, these are my details, and thank you for the opportunity to share share on such a very important, subject and on this, beautiful platform. Thanks a lot.
Thank you so much, Mirel, for that really eye-opening session. And as you mentioned, we have reached the tipping point and it's high time we took action. Thanks for touching upon the urgency to migrate to cleaner energy. And as you said, collaboration is indeed the key. Let's hope the listeners today will think about this and join us in our mission of building a sustainable world. Thank you so much. Next, we have the session, The Power of One, Lifelong Learning, UN SDG 4 by Phi Van Nguyen. Phi Van is currently an advisor to Project 844 under Ministry of Science and Technology of Vietnam on startups and innovation, board member of Asian Business Angel Network, chairwoman of Vietnam Angel Network, and is an angel investor with a portfolio of 24 companies. Over to you, Phi Van, for your session.
Thank you, Aparna. Hello, everyone. In Vietnamese, we say Xin Chào, and it's 10:30 p.m. in Vietnam, so I don't know what to say, whether it's morning or good afternoon or good night. But it's my pleasure to be here today and to share with you a little bit about my journey. And as Aparna said before, I sit on the steering committee of the Ministry of Science and Technology of Vietnam. So I have been involved in startup and innovation for the last 5 years, helping to build the startup and innovation ecosystem for Vietnam as well as for the ASEAN region, because we also found the ASEAN Business Angel Network with about 5,000 members, and we actively invest into startups across the region. But on that particular journey of building the startup and innovation ecosystem and in the journey of investing into various startups across the region, I find one little pain point, which is every government in the region is basically very much focusing on promoting startup and entrepreneurship, and mostly at the university level onwards to professionals. But to me, for an ecosystem, especially an innovation ecosystem, to be sustainable, you need to look at people, HR resources, and you need to look at how you can build the next generations of innovators, how you can start from the root and start talking about innovation and creativity and entrepreneurship and sustainability at a very young age, probably from primary school onwards. So this is one missing link in most of the ecosystem that I have been worked with. So I've taken one step ahead and talked about this pain point with a lot of government agencies as well as a lot of institutions across the region. I have to say that there are various initiatives in helping people to keep up with the rate of development of the 21st century. And everyone is talking about leaving no one behind, but what does it mean? And how do you do it? How do you not leave anyone behind if there are not enough initiatives in terms of education for the community and for the citizens of each country? So what I would like to do today is just very quickly share with you some of the initiatives that I have taken on the basis of a personal journey and use it to influence government agencies in Vietnam to start taking the next steps in investing into sustainability for the innovation ecosystem. So if no one is talking about it, why not me? I took the responsibility, and I think within 4 years, I have published about 8 different books on the subject of lifelong learning, on future of work, future of skills. And all of a sudden, from an angel investor, I became the best-selling author in Vietnam for some reason. So now a lot of people recognize me as a writer more than an investor. But that's to say that, there's a lot that you could do using your own power to actually influence the ecosystem. But so since I started writing, a lot of other entrepreneurs started writing as well. And now there is the whole education agency in conjunction with, formed by the government in conjunction with a lot of media to promote lifelong learning through different channels, and also to promote writing from entrepreneurs so that they can share their stories and share their points of view, their perspectives for everyone to actually learn from. And then I thought, okay, so I wrote, what about I do something else, because we're living in a online world, and for some time in the past 2 years we were stuck at home. So okay, let's put together a blog, and so I wrote blogs, and I created e-learning courses, about 10 of those on my blog, and also podcasts, and share it for free to the community. With a lot of surprise, within 4 months of establishing the blog, my blog members reach about 1.7 million. So that's to say that a lot of people want to learn. It's just that I don't know how they can actually access the information or the knowledge that they would like to have, especially knowledge that people in the innovation world or the technology world can hold. So courses like agile mindset, like how to manage yourself in the changing world of technology, like how to be more human in a technology world of AI and robotics. So those are courses that I put on for free to the community, and it created a lot of buzz in Vietnam. I open it up for all the institutions to have the material for free. And a lot of the big corporations also ask if they could have this resource to help their current employees to learn and to unlearn and to upskill. So that's creating a lot of buzz in the market for upskilling, for learning, for future of work and future of skill, and also lifelong learning or non-traditional ways of learning. And so I said to myself, and I shared with you before, we talked about innovation and startup, and yet we're not doing enough for the educational system, especially in public schools. And to change an official education system of any government is a really difficult job. Trust me, I have tried it, and I have actually put my head against the wall so many times. So I said, okay, if that's the case, then let's do something different. So I founded this project called Library of Dreams. It's basically a library for primary and secondary school kids. And it's all the books are basically on creativity, innovation, and imagination, so that they can be just like sowing a seed about innovation and creativity in the kids' minds, so that they can start learning from a very young age and become innovators in the future. So to date, we had opened 90 different libraries in 90 different primary schools around the country. And our goal is to establish 1,000 libraries in Vietnam across different regions, so that all the kids can get access to learning about innovation and entrepreneurship from a very young age. So this particular project is now so founded by myself, but now has become a government-funded project because of the effect that it has brought to the society. So that's another initiative that I founded. And so then I said to myself, okay, so primary and secondary school kids, they got access to the innovation libraries. What about the teenagers and the tertiary students who don't want to just stay at home and read, and want to do something, and want to actually participate in projects, and want to participate in society. So I said, okay, let's found social innovation incubation programs for these kids. and teach them stuff like design thinking, stuff like project management, stuff like entrepreneurship, like presenting, like getting people to invest into their projects. And these are all social projects, right? So the kids, when they get into the program, they basically go through a 7 month of incubation, very, very intense, like a startup incubation program. And all they do is they go out and find a pain point in the society that they would like to solve. And then in teams, they come back and they work out their solutions or ideas, especially with the involvement of technology, so that they can solve a certain social pain point. We have run in total of 3 seasons, so with about 6,000 kids. And believe it or not, our top 3 in this program has been gaining awards at the National Innovation Program, going past all the real startups in the market. And all the judges, when they see these kids like from 12 years old to 16 years old, presenting their solutions, their innovation solutions for social problems, they get very amazed. So after 3 seasons, this program is now adapted by the Department of Science and Technology and also the People's Committee of Ho Chi Minh City to launch it as an official citywide initiative for all the kids in secondary and tertiary schools. So that's another way for the kids now and the teenagers now to go out and learn and be adapted to the unknown future in a very different way, and also sow the seed for themselves to start learning themselves, to start solving problems while they are learning, instead of just learning knowledge academically. And so, of course, I'm an investor. So I have to talk to myself and say, okay, how do I contribute to lifelong learning and sustainability by investment? And so these are some of the startups in my startup portfolio that I have invested in. So Arki is a innovation education program that helps kids and young people and also big corporates to actually solve issues using design thinking. I also invest into a company called Hecate, which is an AI startup, and they use natural language processing. And we have a virtual celebrity using our AI, talking to kids around Vietnam and answering all the questions that they may have about anything that they can't talk or ask anyone else in life. So this is an AI that's now that has now been speaking to around 15 million kids in Vietnam within the past 4 years. Believe it or not, 15 million. And we have active users, almost a few million active users at the time talking to this AI. So apart from knowledge, we are now also trying to collaborate with other institutions like arts, music, dancing, and get the AI to actually also help the kids to learn different arts and different courses using the AI power that it currently has. Soundio is a startup that uses podcasts and sound to actually help people learn. So now you know that people all learn by bite size and by listening when you're driving and when you're actually exercising. So this is another startup that I invested in just to bring learning to your ears anytime that you would like. And then VietGrow is a startup focusing on training, providing training, anything relating to the future of work and future of skills, everything concerning innovation. So as an investor, I basically do that just because I know that, you know, one thing is never enough. And if you talk to people and try and get people understand, and people don't really understand, and you probably have to do it yourself. So I truly believe that, you know, with your passion, with your responsibility, with your aim to move everything forward, there is always the power of one. If you start something and you actually commit to it, then it will become powerful. And at some point, people will start listening, the government will start listening, and we will probably, hopefully, have a better world that way, with the power of action of every one of us. So thank you very much for having me today. And I'll leave you with one last sentence. I always remind myself, if there's none existing, found one and make it sustainable. Thank you so much.
Everyone, this is amazing. 15 million. It's amazing. You have really inspired me, and I'm sure a lot of others to become investors. I mean, loud what you said. If no one is taking responsibility, let me take the responsibility. I think if everyone listening to the session does that, that itself can create a ripple effect. And listening to your story gave me goosebumps. This is real giving back to the community. Let's keep inspiring people, and let's make sure that we literally leave no one behind. Thank you so much for joining us and inspiring us today.
Thank you.
Thank you. Now let's have the next session, the value of lifelong learning, focusing on UNSDG 4 by Ileda Evangelia Kotra. Ileda is the founder and creative director of www.livingpostcards.com. Over to you, Ileda, for your session. Ileda, you have to unmute yourself. I think we are not able to hear you.
I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry.
Thank you.
Let's start from the beginning. It's nice to be here with you. It's a great opportunity. Thank you very much for the invitation. And I want to say again, a big thank you to you and the whole team and Dr. Santos for your patience, your kind energy, your positive energy, and your true vision to change everything around this planet. This is very touching. And without, it's not a compliment, I truly believe it, we need people like you. So, my name is Ileda Evangelia Kotra. I am a campaigner, I run a campaign against domestic violence. I am a digital marketeer and an entrepreneur. And I wanted to talk today about the benefits of lifelong learning, because for the last 10 years, I ran a platform that was set up in order to support young entrepreneurs that they were struggling to find their own business vision in the middle of financial crisis in Greece. And the last 10 years, I had the luck to know a lot of hundreds of new entrepreneurs that they were over 40 or sometimes 50 years old, that they were trying to change their mind. They were trying to change their own mindset and the ways that they were educated in order to find their own business path. And during the last 2 years with COVID, we all know that we had to experience a big change in the way we live, in the way we work. And first of all, we had to change the way we think about everything around us. Lifelong learning has some gifts for us. And one of the best gifts is that lifelong learning helps us adapt the change. Because society, it's true that it's a state of constant flux. Everything changes every day. So we have to be alert to everything that it's new. And the lifelong learning enable us to keep up with society changes, especially technological ones. And this is very, very important. lifelong learning creates a curious mind. As my favorite Steve Jobs said, be foolish, be curious, because if we stop learning, we have to keep learning, no matter the age, no matter the possibilities that we see in front of us. We have to make our mind young. And in the times that we're living, that ageism is a big problem. We must not be, we don't have discriminations, age discriminations, because there's an old quote that says, old dog never learn new tricks, where it's not true. All the people can learn new tricks because everything around us is new, it's different. So we have to be open. And the more older learners, as I say, discover new things every day. And they share this experience to the society because we make new friends, we can make new valuable relationships. And it's a time to reset not only our mind, but to be together, not only through online, but to meet each other, to exchange knowledge, to share our own tips, our own life tips all those years, no matter in which life position we are right now. Life learning opens the mind. I think that there's nothing more important than travel, work with new people, listen to new ideas, even struggle to accept the idea of other people's, because that makes you a better person. And finally, at the end of the day, you are already a better version of yourself. This is very crucial. And I think that we are more, we're people that we're activated in our community. We're not in a state that we learn something and we continue to do the same thing, because it's nice to exchange all those ideas and to know what's going on around the planet. I had the chance to meet a lot of women that they're very dynamic and they want to change they want to find their own path, and that they don't really care about their age. And they are willing to change, they're willing to learn from the beginning everything. And I have many great examples of successful women, especially above 40 years old, that they learned everything from the scratch, from the beginning. And women that people, they were not sure that they will be successful, but they are successful, not only because they believed in themselves, but because they were willing to change their mind, and they wanted to know everything. It's very important for us to want to know, because it's not only about academical theories. You have to have the will to accept everything that is new around you. And basically, we all have some abilities, but as we grow older, and even if we don't work full time, it's a great opportunity to discover more abilities, because sometimes we're stuck in the way of living, or we have learned some things, and we think that it's very difficult for us to accept more. But this is not true. We can always find new people to work with. We can always have new collaborations. We can travel. Thanks God, I think COVID is in the end. I'm sure that it's a more positive era in front of all of us. And we can have the opportunity to learn more and to make lifelong learning a true mindset of our time. And I think that ageism is a problem. I have to deal it sometimes, because I know a lot of people that they were struggling to have new experiences, to work, new opportunities. But first of all, they have to be sure about themselves, because society, it's not 100% ready to accept that people are able for lifelong learning. I know people that they have taken degrees and they are 60 years old. I have a person that she works a very big technological Colosseum brand, and she's 50 years old. So I think that it's all about ourselves. We have to believe in ourselves. We have to collaborate with people that they are already open-minded. And you know what, the same mind is like an aerostatal. You have to have it open and ready in order to fly. That's my topic, dear Aparna. We have to be open and ready to learn every day and collaborate with people no matter their age. We have to be open without any stereotypes and ageism. This is very important.
Thank you so much, Elena, for that amazing session. As you said, in this changing world, we have to keep our minds young and we have to keep learning lifelong. All the old dogs have to learn new tricks in the post-pandemic era, right? Thank you so much for that wonderful session and joining us today. Next, we have with us Ms. Suma Khasmo with a session Decoding Sustainable Media and Publishing. Suma Khasmo is the co-founding partner of Neurotics Medical and Biotechnologies. So over to you for your session, Suma. Are you there? I think Suma Khasmo has joined. Suma, over to you for your session. Suma Khasmo is the co-founding partner of Suma Khasmo is a co-founding partner of Neurotrix Medical and Biotechnologies. Over to you for your session. Decoding Sustainable Media and Publishing. Suma, can you hear me? Suma Khasmo, are you there?
Hello.
Yes, I can hear you, but I can't see you.
I can hear you very well. Sorry for my voice. I'm having COVID and difficulty breathing. I just came to make the session here because I appreciate it very much. I want to share the screen with you.
Yes, you can share the screen. No problem. You can share the screen.
Is it okay or just?
It's okay. It's okay. You can share your presentation.
Okay.
We really salute your commitment, Suma.
Thank you. I just came back from hospital 30 minutes ago.
Oh my God.
1 second, please. I'm gonna share my screen. Can you see my screen?
It's just loading. Yes, it's yeah, you can make it full screen so that.
So first of all, I would like to welcome everybody here, and I'll be talking about decoding sustainable media and publishing. My name is Suma Khasmo. I think Aparna just introduced me, so I will skip to the content as well because I have difficulty also talking. So first of all, we should say what is sustainability in general. Sustainability, 1 second here, I will just remove myself. Yes, okay. I think it's clearer this way. Okay. So sustainability is a normative concept that stresses intergenerational equity and is commonly considered to have 3 dimensions: the environmental dimension, the economical dimension, and the social dimension. The concept can be used to guide decisions at all scales, at the global, national, and individual consumer level scale. What I'm going to talk about today is what is sustainability, which I already have. What is sustainability in media and publishing? Sustainability through media outlets coverage policies and the company's adoption of sustainable media and publishing practices and sharing of company's sustainable mission, practice, and outcomes. So the main 3 focuses of the presentation here today are the 3 sides of media and sustainability. So we have, first of all, the first topic, which is related to media and sustainability, is sustainability in media practices. Second is the media's coverage of topics related to environmental and sustainability. And then the businesses promoting their sustainability practices in media outlets. I will start first talking about sustainability in media practices, which is related to the policies that the media outlets have in order to promote freedom of speech and express of thoughts. So sustainability in media practices is the media's capacity to operate effectively and without bias under sound political, legal, and economical conditions. In a sustainable environment, journalists operate without interference or fear of violence, and media organizations enjoy stable legal and business conditions that pay decent salaries, discourage media corruption, and promote sector-wide integrity. Ownership structures in the media sector reflect a diversity of views and citizens' trust that the media represent the full range of society's interests, including the information needs of the minority or the repressed groups. Donor support is sustainable when it creates conditions that persist after the termination of the outside support. Now, tracking the sustainability of media system is difficult because the issue crosses political, economical, and social factors. In countries that lack of robust market economy, advertising supported news media is difficult to establish or sustain. In some countries, money-losing media houses are supported or captured by businessmen with other commercial interests or politicians with an agenda, other than providing independent news and information. Now, the new digital era and mobile technologies are disrupting the traditional media business model, so people are more able to freely express themselves without fear of any business model or political agendas. Now, regarding the second phase of sustainability in media is the media's coverage of topics related to environmental and sustainability issues. Now, the global public health conversation is back to COVID-19 and climate change. With the coronavirus lockdowns around the world in the past 3 years, we have seen that it's beginning to ease the global public health conversation, and the public are looking to talk about subjects related to COVID-19 and the climate change. So these are the very hot topics and trendy topics in media since the last 3 years until now. Also, media and sustainability have a profound connection. There are many ways that media and environment are intertwined, from the exploitation of natural and human resources during media production to the installation and disposal of media in the landscape, from people's engagement with environmental issues in film, television, and digital media to the mediating properties of ecologies themselves. Meaning that media as well in the media outlets, as in film, media, and TV, they all also talk about various topics regarding environment and sustainability as well. Now, regarding businesses in general, this is not related to media outlets at all. So every business has its own media agenda or its own sustainability policies, and they like to promote them through their website, social media, and through influencers sometimes. Now, since I am also a chairman of Al Bayadr Political Magazine and Publishing Corporation, we have also sustainability policies that we also like to promote through our outlets as well. And we also, as any other outlets, media outlets in the world, we also talk about various topics related to environment, sustainability, and climate change. Thank you very much. I would have liked to make this presentation longer, but I cannot talk more because of my COVID infection. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Ms. Suma Khasmo, for joining us in spite of the difficult situation you're in. We really salute your commitment, as I said in the beginning. And thank you so much for that wonderful session and letting us know about your activities. Thank you so much. We'll catch up later and maybe we'll do another session again. Thank you very much. Thank you so much. And what an amazing day it was. Amazing speakers, amazing topics, amazing learning. Let me take this opportunity to thank each one of you.
Madam, can you just, Madam Suma, can you just close the PPT?
Oh, stop. Okay, sorry. 1 second.
Yeah.
Yes, let me take this opportunity to thank each one of you who made this summit possible through your support and commitment. First of all, let me thank us Chief guest, Baibas Altuntas, former senior advisor of the London Stock Exchange Group, executive chairman of the World Business Angels Investment Forum, for the trust in us, for taking his time out of his busy schedule and joining us in this summit. A huge thank you to our keynote speaker, Dr. Hind Bohia, for enlightening us with the words and also with our experience. A big thank you to all our powerful speakers. Thank you so much for sharing your amazing stories. I'm sure this will be a great learning for everyone who is watching, and be assured that as founders, all your efforts are going to create a huge difference in this world. And to our impact investment partner, Tacit Growth Strategies LLC, without you, this event would not have been possible at such a huge scale. You have helped us raise the game through your unconditional support. We are now live on LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and all these videos will be available to you on our YouTube channel for you to watch and learn later. Thank you so much, dear viewers, for joining us on Zoom and also on different social media platforms and listening to us. Hope we were able to add value to your lives through this event. Join us tomorrow with another set of powerful speakers with their inspiring stories and learnings. Together, let us change the world. And it's me, Aparna G. Kumar, signing off for today, and see you all tomorrow on the SDGs Global Founders Council Summit 2022, Day 2. Till then, bye-bye. Take